everybody. What's going on? Welcome to the Geek Tank, a podcast where we break down all the news and things going on in the gaming world this week. I'm your host this week, Joshua Mobley, and I'm joined by my two good friends, Dave and Kyle.
Hola.
Hello.
This isn't as
How's
good
everybody?
Huh?
I
was gonna say this isn't as good as when we were alone, Josh. I'm like the third wheel.
With your sultry, fiery voice.
I just want to be the cuckold here in this relationship. I want to sit down and watch.
Kyle can watch. Yeah. Last week was a good episode. It was good.
I liked it a lot. You guys did a good job. I should be on this podcast less. That's what I learned.
Jesus Christ. But we like you here. We want you to be here. Anyway, before we get going, I was just going to say, how's everybody doing? What's everybody been up to?
Dude.
How's it going?
Good weekend games for me. Super, super good weekend games.
Yeah?
So I've been stuck in I Am Setsuna for a while, which is super dumb. That game's super easy. No one should be stuck in it. So it really just came down to like this what was it? I think I got to a point where I saved and then I played through a whole bunch of it and then I died, and so I had to reopen my save, and there was a long part where I needed to replay, and I was like, I don't want to do that all again. And so I finally sat down and gave it a good whirl again earlier this week, and I cannot reiterate how much I love this game. Like, it's not a great solid JRPG like to stand next to the classics or whatever, but just knowing that like I haven't been able to play Bravely Default or any of these games that have been coming out on like the 3DS and stuff that have just been filling that void, and being able to play a JRPG that's classical on my PS4 just feels so nice. And like, it's got a really good fighting system. I'm super into it. And gosh, what was it? I just got past the big first boss that you like, not the first boss in the game clearly, but the first boss that ever gives anyone any trouble, because the game is so easy to play for most of it.
Yeah.
And I got through him finally because I needed to just buff up my team a little bit. And the story, I'm actually really into it. It's not, like Shakespeare, but yeah, I'm really liking that. What was it? On an unrelated note for games, my girlfriend is starting to board and train dogs because she's a dog trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So she got her first board and train client. It's this Doberman dog. So sweet. I love Dobies. Yeah, it's adorable. But it's like 18 months, I think, is how old it is. But yeah, since it's a board and train, clearly that just means like, I don't want to train it. You train it. So we have it for 2 weeks. And I've never been so tired because this dog keeps fucking around in the middle of the night and waking me up early in the morning. And Jesus. So that's like been cutting into some of my other game stuff. But what else did I play? I played something else. I just can't think of it on the top of my head because I've been so into I Am Setsuna. I revisited Dragon Quest Heroes, World Trees Blight, or the World Trees Blight. Nope. The World Trees Woe and the Blight Below. That's what it is.
Basically like Dragon Quest Dynasty Warriors, right?
Yeah. It's the Dragon Quest Musou game.
Musou, right.
I did not play a whole ton of it because my whole point was I wanted to buy it before Berserk Musou came out, because I'm super hyped for that. And I haven't played many Musou games, so wanted to give it a try. And yeah, again, it's, if you don't like Dynasty Warriors and don't really care about Dragon Quest, you won't really like this at all. But I like Dragon Quest quite a bit. I've played a few of them. My favorite character ever in Dragon Quest is in it. So it's a good old time. I finally got to the airship, which is early in the game, but it's called the Stone Cloud, and it's literally like just a piece of the ground that comes up with rockets, and they're like, this is an airship now, this piece of land. All right. Yeah, it's a goofy game, but it's so charming, super lighthearted, and I'm just in a mood for that. I'm just in a mood for lighthearted, charming little games. So it's been a good week in games. I've been playing a ton. So
cool. Yeah. Dave, before I talk about the thing that I'm going to talk about, have you been playing anything interesting, doing anything interesting?
Well, I mean, we both talked about it last weekend. I played the Titanfall 2 tech test, and I played it again last night.
I also played it a bit this weekend.
Yeah.
Some more.
We can get into that in a second. I actually, I have a small confession to make. I'm not sure if you guys were checking my Steam or anything, but this week I decided to play a visual novel.
Yes.
Ain't no shame in that.
It's called
I love visual novels.
Yeah, actually, this one actually appealed to me. It wasn't necessarily like a straight up like dating sim visual novel that come out a lot. It was actually like a hybrid one. It's basically the main story is actually that you're a transfer student like you do, coming from
you do.
Yeah, I mean it's just like that's like generic Japanese
Yeah, the
plot.
start of every good
You're a transfer
visual
student.
novel.
Like that's what it is. Like you're coming from somewhere else. Like you didn't start here. So you transfer from a New York school into a Japanese school. The only twist to it is that it's not just a normal school, it's a school for robotics. So you're actually competing in this tournament where mechs fight each other like as a sport. So
what's the name?
Ace Academy.
Ace Academy.
Yeah.
I know about this game.
So
I haven't played it, but
of course the combat is nothing special. It's all text based. So it tells you like move right, slash whatever, like you pick, and then you just kind of hope it works. But story is actually pretty good so far. The voice acting is like, aside from like one character, really good. They voice most of the characters in the game. It's really like well done. And I was just utterly blown away by that. Like I was expecting,
like English?
Yeah, I was expecting like high school English kind of, reading the text from a paper kind of voice acting from this. And it was English too. Yeah, English. And really,
is Troy Baker in this game?
That would probably put it in my game of the year if he was. Tess. Sorry.
They're both in it.
It's over, Tess! But yeah, I mean, I've only played a little bit of it. I'm starting a whole Let's Play series on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/heavymetalbakesoulgaming, which you basically... I'm getting that down, the Greg Miller plug, like where he just says it really quickly.
You always got to do this.
Gotta do it.
It takes skill, but once you get it down, it really works. Like, but anyway, Ace Academy it's really, really good. I honestly, for $16, I'm pretty happy with it so far. The only other visual novel I've tried is, I'm not sure if either of you have heard of it. It's called Katawa Shoujo, which that was the one where you go to the school for the people with disabilities.
Yeah.
And they all have like
we talked about that one time on the podcast.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. And then very, very, that's a way stranger visual novel. It's free, but it's like, you're going to be seeing some weird shit. So
real talk, go play Police Knots and Tsukihime. Police Knots is Hideo Kojima's second game.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. It's Lethal Weapon, but a visual novel.
Oh, Jesus.
It's great.
It's
fucking amazing.
That sounds
There's
glorious.
like a shooting part where you just like move a cursor around. It's so good. I'm trying to get it on the Saturn actually, but it's only Japanese, so I had to find a import. But Tsukihime, that is related to Fate Stay Night, which just got an anime. It's also like a bunch of RPGs and shit. But
wow,
that's a straight up really good one.
Well, if I
can name like so many porn visual novels too. Go play nonfiction. Go play what's another porn one?
Go play like any visual novel based on like those what's the word? Harem anime visual novels.
Dude, there's so many.
They're all porn. Like
go play anything made by GJ. Because Sano Toshihide does the art on all those. And he's amazing. And they're all porn.
The beauty of porn.
There's a little bit that I know about that genre.
Beautiful, well-drawn porn.
So, Josh, what are you doing? What are you talking
about? Not porn. That's for... So, they might turn your brain off right after that. I said that. But... I've been playing a game that came out last Tuesday. I put about 10 hours into it this week. And it's a little title people may not have ever heard of, but it's called Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Mankind Divided.
Mankind Divided, or as we called it last week, Mankind Divided? Because I couldn't remember if that was the right title or not.
We kept saying, remember I kept saying Human Revolution too?
Yeah, we're like Human Revolution.
So
damn it,
man.
We're like Mankind Revolution. What's it called? No, but So, Mankind Divided, it's the direct sequel to Deus Ex Human Revolution, which came out in 2008. So it's been 8 whole years.
Oh my God.
Since this game, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, that game came out right when I first started dating my girlfriend, basically.
Wow.
So
where's that ring, buddy?
I know, right? Well, I don't have any money, so.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. When I get some money, Kyle.
I was gonna sing some Beyonce, but I won't subject you to that.
Oof. Anyway, it's been 8 years. This game is a direct sequel to Human Revolution, so people who've played Human Revolution will know what's kind of going on in the plot. If you've never played Human Revolution, honestly, you can probably jump into this game and be totally fine because, and I wish more games had something like this, even for people like me I played Human Revolution twice and absolutely adored it. There's a thing that pops up right when you say new game, and it says, hey, do you want a refresher / did you never play the first one? And you say, yeah. And it plays like an 8-minute video that literally just lays out the whole plot of Human Revolution. It just takes clips of the cutscenes and all the stuff that happened. And Adam Jensen's just like, yeah, the Illuminati showed up and we did this and that.
I didn't ask for that.
I didn't ask for this. Yeah. Like the whole game, including the DLC.
That sounds like what Mass Effect 2 did when they put it out on the PS3. They actually had that Dark Horse comic
that
explained the first game.
Except they don't really do the choices.
Yeah.
Like, there were choices in the.
Yeah, I was about to ask.
But they choose an ending basically, because there were like 3 different endings in Human Revolution. They just chose one. I don't remember which one it is, but it's the one where everyone is alive. So basically, the game is like a couple years after Human Revolution, and you are working for Interpol now. You're not working for Seraph. Like Seraph Industries has gone out of business. And after the big like incident thing that happens at the end of Deus Ex, where all the AUG people go crazy because they're on that frequency, they become basically a discriminated against minority. So a lot of the game has to do with prejudice, which I think this game handles prejudice better than I think any game has ever handled it. It's so interesting. So
the AUG Lives Matter really handled it pretty well.
Yeah, I will say the marketing did not. I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to convey like that a lot of the stuff in the game mirrors like real world stuff by saying like, the mechanical apartheid and like all these things. Probably they should not have said any of that. I'm gonna come out and say they probably should not have used like AUG Lives Matter and things like that.
Probably not.
They should not have done that.
The game does a good job.
The marketing has been, none of that is even in the game. They never say the word like apartheid in the game. They never use any terms like that, but they do these really interesting things. So, like when because you are augmented, the main character, you're playing as Adam Jensen again. It's the same character from the other game. They do these interesting things because you are augmented. A lot of people like clanks is like a derogatory term for AUG. So like,
wow,
walking by people, they'll be like, "You fucking clank" or whatever, or like you'll hear people go, "Oh, do you hear a clanking sound?" and stuff. Like they talk shit. And then like I was walking by this restaurant once. I heard these 2 women, and this one woman's like, this guy walked in and he tried to pay with a credit card, and it was so crazy. Like he'd been living under a rock. And this other lady's like, yeah, like I thought they stopped giving them credit cards like 9 months ago and stuff.
Jesus
like,
Christ.
yeah, it gets crazy. Like
that's sad.
And this
makes me super sad.
This isn't even what's interesting about it. So because the game takes place mostly in Prague in Russia, and so you're walking. I mean, there's other places you go. Like you go to this big like ghetto city called Golem at one point. That's basically like a Blade Runner ghetto cube. If I had to describe it, really cool setting. But there's the one thing I find really interesting, and at first I was like, this is fucking annoying. Like every time it was happening, and then I realized that was the point, and I was like, I get it. This is brilliant. So like, occasionally, randomly, you'll be walking by cops, and all of a sudden you enter this random cutscene where they're like, "Show me your papers" or whatever, and you have to show them your papers, and they make you stand there and wait for like a couple seconds while they look and like call in and stuff.
Wow.
And sometimes like Adam Jensen will say
amazing.
something like, "This is bullshit," and they'll be like, "You think you're a fucking tough guy or whatever," and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they finally are like, "All right, let him go." It goes even further, Kyle. I found out because I didn't realize when you go to, because you have to take the subway sometimes. there are separate cars, and if you get on the wrong car, there are fucking consequences. So there's two lines. So there's an entrance for Augs and an entrance for naturals, which is like just normal humans. And if you don't take the Aug line, you'll get stopped more frequently. And if you get on the car if you get on the train car that is for naturals, while you're on the train car, like you'll be standing there and all the humans will be giving you just like dirty looks and shit. And then when you get off the car, the cops fucking hassle you and they're like, you were on the wrong train car. Like, you should know better. Like, show me your papers and stuff. It is absolutely brilliant. I cannot believe like the time and care they put into something like this, because it makes the world
right.
Like, it actually annoys you. Like, I'm kind of like, holy crap. Like, I don't think I've ever played a game that did.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Made you actually feel like mind. Part of a minority that's
right.
Yeah,
like I don't want to overstate it and say that like, oh, I feel like I know what it's like to be black. Like, that's silly. But to say all that and do all that stuff, it's like, on a small tangent, Breitbart did a review for this game. For anyone who doesn't know Breitbart, they're like the super extremist right-wing conservative online publication.
Oh, so this definitely ended well.
Yeah. So they did a review for that game, and they called it in their headline. I'm not going to fucking read that, but the headline read like, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, a mature something RPG for whatever. You know, like just giving it high praise for its maturity and approach to that stuff. And it's just like, how can you play a game like this, have that sort of reaction, but still have no understanding of the plight of like...
Yeah, they honestly didn't
That surprises me that you would say that.
My point
I thought they would have hated
it. Be, give this game to, not to make this political, and I apologize if I'm making anybody angry, but like give it to like a Trump supporter or somebody. Just like have their reaction to that game.
I'm about to say, you're making an assumption that Josh or I are Trump supporters, and we're not.
No,
he's not.
I know you guys aren't.
Oh, because I said like,
saying,
I thought you said I'm not trying.
Josh is feeling that Johnson, and I know Dave does. I mean, I would assume that Dave wouldn't be a Trump supporter. You've never outwardly said anything out. Yeah, I'm not a fucking man.
I know, just the way you worded that, Kyle. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
you were basically like, if anyone's here is a Trump supporter, Dave.
That's not what I meant. No, I just meant like. Josh has been very vocal at who
I'm just fucking with you. Don't worry.
You know what, Dave? Yeah. Fuck it. You are a Trump supporter. I know.
I
can
am.
see your bullshit.
I was originally
He's gonna be like, show me your paper.
I'm actually I'm a
Trump supporter. Really,
I'm a Trump convert. Actually, I was a Ted Cruz supporter at first.
Were you really?
I
see. It totally makes sense.
This is getting out of hand. I'm trying to talk about dancing.
Go on.
But yes, so and on top of that, the game deals with like prejudice and stuff like in really interesting ways. Like, it really caught me off guard. I did not expect it to do this. And after like the way Human Revolution had some very troubling like things in it, like in terms of like race and stuff, I was not expecting them to like go, maybe we should correct those things. And not only that, like, you know, do it the right way. I think like in Human Revolution there was like literally one black character, and it was that one lady you see digging through the trash, and she's like way racist. She's like, oh sir, like one of those like stereotypes. Like in this one they've mixed it up in really interesting ways, and they've actually been like, okay, we should actually be a little more like politically correct with our characters, but also make them more interesting. So they have, I mean, you playing gruff, boring white guy, sure. Adam Jensen's not a cool character. I'll admit that. I think he's boring as hell, but whatever. He's supposed to be kind of boring because he's just supposed to be a vehicle for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Your main, like, you have so you work for Interpol, and your boss is like this hard ass guy. And for the most part, like, you think, this guy sucks, whatever. There's a mission where you have to break into his apartment because you're also undercover, like, helping this hacker group called, like, the Juggernaut Collective or something. And your main... Huh?
DedSec?
No. But your main contact in the Juggernaut Collective is this black woman named Alex. And she's a really cool character. She's also an AUG. And, like, you help her, like, basically steal information from Interpol and stuff for her to use like for her hacktivism and stuff. And like on top of that, like your main boss, there's a mission where she asks you to break into your boss's like apartment and steal data from him and stuff. So you do it, and you actually find out in the process of breaking into his apartment, because he's not there, but like you look at some of his pictures because like they've arranged it, and he's gay. And I was like, whoa, like that's so interesting. Like they don't really like say it out loud. You would never really get the impression. But like you walk into his apartment, you see him and like his partner and like their kids like in a nice picture, and you're like, oh shit, like, you know, and
cool.
Like I think they've really like they've come into the 21st century, as I would say. So, and I guess I could talk about the gameplay. All I've been talking about is like plot and stuff. But if you liked Human Revolution's gameplay, it's basically the same. Like you get augs and you do like, you know, I can stealth or explore or whatever. I think that the aiming and the shooting and stuff is a lot better. It actually feels good. They've done a lot to update the cover system. The cover system's actually really good now.
Nice.
I think
that was my biggest problem with the last one.
Yeah, now you can actually dart to different covers. And so you basically have like a it's the same as like when you're at a corner and you want to just go to the next corner, you hold it and you'll like, you know, like you'll go around whatever you're on. But you now have like a line, like sort of like an aiming thing, and you just aim at like and it's really obvious. There's like it draws a line for you and stuff. And you just aim at whatever cover you want to go to, and it shows you like what side you'll be on, and you just push space and he'll just run over there and go undercover. It works really well. It's really nice. The aiming feels a lot better. The augs, there's new augmentation stuff, and then there's some of the older stuff, and then they've just kind of taken out some of the stuff that like nobody really used. My new favorite thing ever, and I can't believe it wasn't in the first one because it's made my life so great, and it just sets up so many cool things. Remote hacking. So you get a tool where you can hack stuff from a distance. It is so awesome. Especially, I did a side mission where you have to rob a bank, and like not like rob it at gunpoint, like give me your money, see? But like you have to like break into the bank and steal data from like the manager's computer, basically. And oh my god, it was so awesome. But remote hacking helps so much because you can like, you know, just look around the corner and be like, there's a drone, it's gonna see me. I better like, you know, turn it off for 30 seconds and then like run, you know.
There's elite hacking.
Dude, yeah. So I play the great thing about this game is that you can play it in a variety of ways. So it's like Dishonored or like the original Deus Ex or, you know, like BioShock or anything like that, where they kind of just give you a goal and then you can figure out the way you want to accomplish that goal. And then they give you augs to like help you. So if you just want to be combat badass, you can like make your aiming better. You can make your cover better. You can give yourself cloaking or give yourself crazy explosions or more inventory space to hold more guns or things like that. Or if you're like me, who I like playing exploration stealth hacker non-lethal, you can like upgrade. So I like, they give you like after a mission or two in the game, they just give you like a bunch of praxis kits, which are basically like your level up experience points. And I basically spent them all on hacking. So I can just hack into whatever I want. So I'm hacking into crazy doors and like lifting vending machines and going through trenches and stuff, just like avoiding fighting altogether. I think I've killed one person total in the game. I have a stun gun. I pick up all the guns, but I always sell them. And I have a stun gun and a tranq rifle. And I basically run around with my stun gun. It's like a silenced handgun. You just shoot one bullet at somebody and they get zapped and they're like, man, they just get knocked out. And then I put their body somewhere because I'm like, no one will see you. But it's one of those, you know, it's one of the magical things about the game is like you get to pick a play style and play with it. And there have been some controversies in the game because you can buy praxis kits. However,
elephant in the room.
Here's the thing. People are way overreacting about this because when I first saw it, I went, oh no, I've never once been prompted to go to the store ever. I've played for 10 hours. It's never had a pop-up go, hey, if you want more Praxis kits, why don't you go to the Square Enix store and buy some? Never. It's never told me. Literally, like, when you push escape, it's like resume, quit, options and stuff. There's a button that says shop. I've never clicked it. I assume that's where you buy them. I have no fucking clue. And honestly, playing the game, I have way more points than I need. Like, I have points that I'm just keeping in case I get to an obstacle that I really want to get past, because maybe I can't jump high enough, or like I need the thing where I can breathe the gas or whatever. Like, I'll just keep a couple points like on hand where I'm like, fuck, I really just want to get this through this. Like, I'll just buy the legs and I hope I'm jumping up, you know? So you don't need to buy the points. You're totally fine. I don't know who the hell would even buy them. And on top of that, they're not even shoving them down your throat. In fact, they're practically hiding them. So I really do not understand the like the controversy. I really don't get it. Like, I don't know.
I mean,
like,
correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've heard, like pre-order incentive stuffs, like if you activate that in the game, they bar you from using it on consecutive uses in the different save.
I have heard that. Like, some of the pre-order bonuses are like one-time use only forever, which I find weird, but I couldn't tell you what those were.
Yeah,
honestly,
right.
When I was playing, maybe they were the extra Praxis kits I got when I first started playing. I have no idea, honestly. They could have been, and in that case, sure. Like, I feel like I could get like how the game might be a little harder because of that, but honestly, like, I still feel like I'm getting a lot of Praxis points. Like, I'm doing side quests, I'm exploring, and I'm getting enough experience, and the missions have not been very hard for me in general. I'm just playing on normal. But to me, it feels totally fine, honestly. So maybe my opinion will change if I ever go back and play again, and maybe I don't get those weird pre-order bonuses, because I bought the game like the day before it came out, so I could preload it or whatever. But and reviews were out by then, and everyone was saying it was good, and I expected it to be good. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't see much of the controversy. Maybe my opinion will change, but for the most part, I haven't felt pressured in any way to buy.
The reviews I've seen agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think people just, yeah. I've never even talked to anyone where they're like, you would like to do this. I only say this because most people talk like in a Russian accent in this game. You're in Prague. I've seen like one dude. There was like this black dude helicopter pilot who had like a French accent. I was like, all right. So I don't know. I've never been super pressured to even buy a single Praxis kit, and I have never felt the need to buy one because the game feels totally fine to me. In fact, I feel like I am way overpowered for a lot of these things. So, and maybe that's just because I'm good at video games. I don't know, or just good at this genre. Like, this is one of my favorite genres of games. Is the what do they call it? Immersive sim or whatever? Like, I don't know. So yeah. I'm really liking the game. I think if you liked Human Revolution, I definitely recommend going to buy it. If you've never played it and you're at all curious, I don't think you need to go play Human Revolution probably ever again, to be honest, because that game has a lot of problems that I think this game fixes. I do not understand the opinion of some people that this game's a step backward. I think it's a huge step forward. I think the story in the first game was probably better, because this story, so far, it's all hinges on like I'm trying to figure out like what happened at this terrorist bombing at this train station. That's like the whole plot basically. And apparently, according to reviews, the game kind of just ends at some point. Like, the ending's like not totally satisfying, but like the ride is really fun. So I don't know. But for now, 10 hours in, I'm really liking it a lot. I loved Human Revolution at the time. I was reviewing games at the time for a website, and I think I gave it like a 9.9 or something. So I mean, take my opinion with a grain of salt, I guess, just because I'm a really big fan of the franchise. But I think this game's really good. They fixed a lot of the problems I had with Human Revolution, going back many years later and realizing like where all the cracks were, you know. So I don't know. I highly recommend it. Yeah.
So I'm thinking you're giving it a chicken sandwich out of a Coke.
Yes.
Perfect rating. I love
Perfect rating. Yeah, chicken sandwich out of a Coke. Chicken sandwich sounds pretty good right now.
Right?
Nice Chick-fil-A
Spicy
chicken sandwich or something. Yeah.
Dude, Chick-fil-A is so good.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A extra pickles. Woo! Spicy chicken sandwich. All right.
So dope.
So dope. All right. Well, it's time for the news, and it's funny to do the rigmarole like so far in the show.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But, ladies and gentlemen, we are the Geek Tank, a show where we dive right into the trenches of the gaming industry and give you our brutally honest opinions. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and some other platforms every week. If you like listening to this podcast, please make sure to leave us a like, favorite, or whatever you do. Let us know that you enjoy our show. Regardless, whether it be that or just coming back to listen every week, you are a member of the Geek Tank Battalion, and we appreciate you. Anyway, it's time for News of the Week. All right, very first news story. Let me get it open here. This one comes from the Zero Review, which Dave is a writer and producer over at.
Full disclosure.
Jinx, the homemade chicken sandwich. Anyway.
Wait, did you say you said it at the same time?
Pickles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, Divinity Original Sin 2 early access announced. I'm excited about this game. I don't know if either of you are. Yeah. I'm probably not going to get it through early access, but I'll get it at some point. So I was going to read it, and then it started with, oh, yeah. And I was like,
Yeah, that's kind of the
Dave didn't write this story.
I did not write that story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it does.
TCR really goes for like the newsatorial stance. So like all of their stuff is like super relaxed.
It's hard to write news stories that frequently with like a 500 word count or whatever without doing shit like that. You gotta do shit like that. You gotta.
It doesn't need to be 500 words. Whatever. Anyway, Divinity Original Sin 2, which is the sequel to, you guessed it, Divinity. Wasn't it Divinity 2 Original Sin?
It's the sequel to Divinity.
Yeah, it's the sequel to the sequel. Yeah. Anyway, basically some shit like that.
It's going great so far.
Yeah.
It's going great.
Early access. It's, you know what? The article threw me off. I'm sorry, but early access for the game drops on Steam on September 15th. If for those of you that don't know, Divinity Original Sin 2 is basically a Baldur's Gate-esque medieval RPG top down, except it has co-op. So Divinity 2 Original Sin had 2-player co-op where you both could like basically play through an entire story campaign together and do crazy stuff and like frame your friends for stealing things and doing a bunch of stuff and talk to animals, and it was a good time. According to a friend of mine who played with her boyfriend, they both really dug it. What's cool about Divinity Original Sin 2 is they've upped the amount of players that you can do co-op with. So now you can do 4-player co-op through an entire campaign together, which sounds dope. I'm really excited to play this.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I'm really excited to play this. Me and my girlfriend and another couple friend of ours are all going to pick this game up. We're all going to play a campaign together.
Double date.
Yeah, Divinity Double Date. So if you are interested in playing the early access version on September 15th, you can do that. I think this game was delayed until next year, though. Am I right in saying that?
Clue.
I think it was supposed to come out this year, but they needed like an extra month. I think it's supposed to come out like January or something.
Well, it's early access, so I think that's I think it's just coming out in early access next month. But
well, yeah, that's what. Yeah.
But the full release is coming out yet, or is that what you were saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was saying that the full release. It says December 2016. That's all it says. So they could still hit that date. This would be a great Christmas game. Like everybody's off. You got 2 weeks to kill. You're like, babe, let's play some Divinity Original Sin 2. I'm gonna be a fucking wizard.
Babe, I'm playing Final Fantasy.
I'm playing Final Fantasy, man. Final Fantasy 15, man. We were talking about that game today, and I was like, that game took 10 fucking years to come out. Because my friend read me a news story where it's like, oh, the studio announced that they're working on a Final Fantasy VII remake trailer. I said, why don't they work on the fucking game? And I was like, their game's going to come out when I'm like 40 at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold out any hope for 50,
that. To be honest.
Probably 50.
We'll be on our
Jesus
deathbeds.
Christ. Yeah, they'll be like,
Who's Cloud?
Grandpa, fucking Final Fantasy VII remake, and then my last gasp is me reaching for the controller, and then I enter the void.
Oh, I'm gonna play Cloud again.
Jeez.
That's how it
Good googly moogly. Anyway, our next news story comes from Polygon. Ubisoft closing 4 free-to-play games on PC. Ubisoft is closing the servers down for 3 free-to-play games by the end of October and a 4th by the end of the year. Basically, on October 25th, the mighty quest for epic loot, Might and Magic Duel of Champions, and Tom Clancy's End War Online will go offline. And on October 31st, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Phantoms will be shut down. So that is sad, I guess. Have you played those games?
I've played Phantoms. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's like Counter-Strike, but in
Not
Ghost
good.
Recon. So to me, it like misunderstands what Ghost Recon's about. But like, if for what it is, it's a good game. It was made by their, I think, Taiwanese Ubisoft studio, the ones that did Black Flag. And the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot bums me out a little bit because
yeah, I remember the trailer for that game being really charming and funny, and I never actually got around to playing the game because they made it so difficult.
Yeah,
to like, whatever,
stuff happens.
Yeah,
like this game. I'm sorry.
Free to play games come and go.
They do.
It's true. Yeah, that's the nature of this
stuff.
That's
sad about them. I guess Ubisoft, I mean, they made a lot of... I didn't realize that they had all these free-to-play games. When I think about it, it's kind of obvious because I knew they all existed. But, like, I didn't really, like, connect that they probably weren't even really doing well. Like, I'd never heard anyone talk about them.
Right,
so, I don't know. They must have just been losing a lot of money, and they were like, screw it.
Yeah.
Shut them down. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Overwatch and other Blizzard games can now stream natively to Facebook. Blizzard streaming is now out. I have not toyed with it because I don't have a Facebook account, although I'm thinking about opening one up soon for my YouTube channel, just for that. So I might end up using this at some point. I'll go into this. So Blizzard launched a brand new feature integrating live game streaming directly through Facebook called Blizzard Streaming. It's the result of a collaboration between the two companies and can be activated with a single click. Basically, you update your Battle.net client, you can stream the game, and then you just launch whatever Blizzard game you want from the launcher, and it will stream that game to Facebook, and you can enable your microphone and your webcam, and you can just go. Seems pretty cool. I have thoughts about this that I think
you were saying
maybe
right before when
you
were
all
talking about
share.
it.
We were talking about this at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
I think that
He said that, I mean, he's just cut out, but he thinks that he thinks that Facebook is going to be launching a Twitch competitor at some point.
Yes.
Which, I mean, that's pretty plausible. I mean, Facebook has the resources to do it, and they definitely. You hear that, Kyle?
This is a good episode.
Oh, this is the best. Luckily, I'm here to take over there. So, Josh? No? Okay.
my headset picked the perfect time to die on me. I just plugged it.
It's okay, Josh. I knew exactly what you were going to say, so I picked up the slack for you. And then while I was explaining it, we just burp.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I was saying, I think Facebook is gearing up to launch a gaming streaming service to rival Twitch.
Right.
I'm curious what you all think about this, because it seems like Facebook Live is becoming like more of a thing lately.
Right. So yeah, Facebook has already had a big focus on video media already. You know, they put an incentive on that in their algorithms for sharing, and whenever you pay money to get it to get ads put out there and stuff. So that's already been a focus for them. I think Facebook knows that they need to do something, because not that they're losing traction by any means. I think Facebook's a giant media conglomerate, or not media conglomerate, giant social media platform that's, I don't think it's losing much traction, but I do think in terms of its relationship to other social media platforms, it is it's never on the front edge of stuff. So I think Twitch is obviously one of the biggest live video sharing platforms in the world, and it's gaming focused. So that's the only reason why I see Facebook doing that instead of just making a bigger effort for live streaming in general. I could see them doing like a YouTube gaming sort of thing. I don't think it would shoot anywhere because actually, no, now that I think about it, Facebook has those forums and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Those groups where people can get together, make it about a specific thing. There's plenty of gaming groups that you can go join and talk to people about stuff. For instance, we all came from the Kind of Funny community. Kind of Funny has this Kind of Funny group. So like I always get shit from them because it's annoying. But you can do that. And so I think that could potentially, be an interesting place where live streaming video game stuff could be really big. Big enough to beat Twitch? Probably not.
No, not a million years.
Interesting thought.
Yeah, I mean, really, the existence of a competitor, the success of a competitor, would really have to do with grievances towards the supposed, I guess, monopoly holder, which would be Twitch at this point. I mean, you can argue YouTube gaming is kind of there, but not really. I mean, it exists, but it's not used that much. Whereas, Twitch really has the share of the market at this point. And I think Facebook launching something, they'll have a certain corner of the market that they might be able to get, but they aren't going to take away viewers from Twitch, really.
Yeah, I think people that are on Twitch are there to stay.
You say that, but I think Twitch has a lot of issues, and a lot of people just use it because it's all there is at this point.
De facto.
Yeah, it's like, there's Ustream and stuff. No one uses it. There's Hitbox. Nobody uses it.
Yeah.
YouTube gaming could have been that thing. It could have really rivaled it, but like the user interface is really clunky, and it's hard to even find people. Like if I'm subscribed to YouTubers, like it's so difficult to even figure out like when they're streaming live or like it's just not it doesn't work. Like it's not set up good. And like I think Facebook, obviously they'd have to launch some kind of like the way YouTube gaming worked, where it was like secondary, but if they could like keep the way Twitch has its discovery, like Twitch has pretty good discovery options, I think. Like you can just search through the list of games and be like, I want to watch somebody playing Mario 64, and chances are there's at least like 10 people playing Mario 64, like doing speed runs or doing whatever they're doing, and then you can find people that way. But they just have a lot of problems. Like the whole, like a lot of streamers who have pretty good audiences have huge problems with Twitch because it's so hard to get partnered sometimes. It's like if you're not a part of a large group, or if you don't just have like a ton of followers, or if you don't know someone at Twitch, like there's people that get like 500 people watching their stream every time they stream that can't get partnered. Like they just can't do it. And
that's a similar issue that like YouTube has. Like YouTube has a bit of a communication problem with its content creators as well. I don't think that's uniquely Twitch. But as far as like Facebook though, I think
but at least like YouTube, it's like the minute you sign up and sign the the W-2 or whatever you sign and all that, you can start making ad revenue and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
Twitch, like you have to put in so many freaking hours, and even then you're not guaranteed the chance to even
right, and then you're stuck surviving off of donations, which is like
exactly,
that's not a way to do your streams, really. I mean, I've seen a lot of streamers who try to make it that way, and it's really obvious, and it's not a good way to stream. But
as far as like cam girls,
that's a joke. As far as Facebook goes versus YouTube, though, I mean, if we're talking about monetization to begin with, Facebook has a better shot simply because I wasn't entirely sure how it worked with YouTube gaming, but I think that, there's a lot of like full-time YouTubers who use Twitch as a secondary source of income. Whereas
they do,
YouTube gaming didn't really have anything outlined as far as that went. I mean, it was just seen as like an extra feature.
Well, if you are a partnered YouTuber, then you can make YouTube gaming like ad revenue, basically.
Yeah, and I bet
I
don't think it's probably the same thing as Twitch.
I'm kind of looking.
It more has to do with the audience and where they're at.
I'm looking at gaming YouTube right now, and it's like some dude with some lady with huge boobs, and then a bunch of like random, like just hanging out practically, and then a bunch of just random YouTube videos, and then like not really any, like if I click live, I'm gonna click live. It's like there's a bunch of games, and then but it's like everything is just so, it's like here's just a bunch of stuff, and it's like I don't even know what I want to watch at this point. I don't know. It's weird. Like,
yeah, its interface is clunky compared to Twitch.
YouTube gaming is garbage, yeah.
But
and no one's really using it. Like the top, like if I go to Destiny, which is usually in the top 10 of Twitch, there's 122 people streaming it right now, and the top stream has 9 people watching it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, where the top Destiny streamer, like I think is Gathalion, or people like that, or like True Vanguard, they usually get like 10 to 20,000. So
I think the problem with YouTube gaming, and I know we're getting off topic here, but YouTube gaming to me was an incentive for like, because YouTube has a lower age median, I would think, than Twitch does, at least for its audience. So people would want to watch like their favorite YouTubers play Five Nights at Freddy's or, you know, fucking Minecraft, stuff like that. I think that was the idea, whether or not, and I just think that's like harder to really capitalize on that sort of stuff. Facebook, since it doesn't have any, at least to my knowledge, any strong content makers already on the platform outside of like the garbage like SoFlo and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I think there's potential for anything to happen. But again, yeah, it just needs to get its audience, and if it does, then then it'll be fine.
Yeah, good point. Anyway, I mean, we could talk about this forever, but we need to move on. Anyway,
going on.
This next news story, Nintendo, we need to do a better job explaining NX to customers. First of all, Nintendo, you need to do a job explaining it, period, because we have no idea what it is.
Exactly. Give us a date or something.
Yeah. So Nintendo is eager not to repeat past mistakes when launching its next game console. Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé said in a recent interview with A List Daily, among other things, what?
I don't know.
Oh, I get it. Okay, wait. I did the tone all wrong. Sorry. Yeah. Among other things, that means the company must do, quote, a better job talking about the capabilities of the new system, known only by its codename NX, than it did with the Wii U. Quote, one of the things that we have to do a better job when we launch it. Wait. One of the things that we have to do when we launch the NX, we have to do a better job communicating the positioning for the product. We have to do a better job helping people to understand its uniqueness and what that means for the gameplay experience. Again, have no idea what this uniqueness is. This news story is just like, we need to not be the Wii U this time. And it's like, you're right.
Yeah, it's basically them just saying what we were all thinking anyway. I mean, you have to, like the Wii U was such a poorly handled reveal. Like there are people who still think that the Wii U is just an add-on for the Wii. Like,
dude, I have an anecdote for that.
What?
So my girlfriend's birthday was last week, which is why I wasn't on. So we were celebrating that, and her sister's, one of her sister's boyfriends came over. Very nice guy. I like him. Brings us Mario Party 11. Is that the newest one? I think.
10,
whichever the newest one is.
Yeah.
It's, the Wii U one.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, we got you this," and like, we don't have a Wii U in the house. We only have a Wii. And so we're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't play it." And he tries to argue with us. He's like a big Destiny guy. He knows a little bit about games. So he's like, no. It's for the Wii U. It's just, you have the Wii U, right? And it's like, no, we have the Wii. And then he tries to argue that the Wii U is an addition. Like, no, man.
That just shows how.
And I'm just like shaking my head, being very sad. Like,
that just shows how bad Nintendo was at revealing this whole thing.
It's an issue. It's a definitely issue. I think it's the same problem that 3DS had in its early beginnings, and I think it's not necessarily all about that. I think that's just a problem that comes when they don't find the right people to sell their games to. So, like, if the Wii U, for instance, did do well, everyone would already know what it is because they had heard that it's a new console. But otherwise, it's just like, because the 3DS doesn't have that perception anymore. People get it, but yeah, the Wii U.
We never really got out of that.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But back to this news story though. I will say, I think this is just Reggie trying to say this is why we're not talking about it yet. And again, reiterating the fact that it's probably not going to be a March release date. Everyone's got to be doubting that at this point. So
yeah, it's getting a little too close now.
Yeah, we're like less than half a year. And that would just be insane.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't know. We'll we'll see when this freaking thing finally gets announced. Taking forever.
I know. There's more rumors talked about it every single week. Never a word from Nintendo.
I know. I don't believe any of it until they finally come out and they're like, here we are, we're talking about it. And they're like, it's a Nintendo phone. And it's like, they're going to...
Oh, God. Break the internet.
Like, Sony already tried this, Nintendo. They already tried this.
The Nintendo Xperia.
Oh, no. Yeah, that mobile, was I think Windows that phone looked kind of cool, but it was a bad idea.
Yeah, very.
It was a bad idea. Anyway, Ubisoft delays the Division expansions to improve core gameplay experience. Can you imagine if Bungie delayed expansions? Good Lord. I can't imagine.
Be stabbing their eyeballs screaming.
I can't imagine what the the tiny Division community is doing right now. They're probably losing their goddamn minds.
Probably not enough trucks to get all the salt out.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, the last content thing wasn't that long ago.
Underground, it was like 2 months ago, right? Or a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? Whatever. So Ubisoft is delaying upcoming expansions to Tom Clancy's The Division to focus on improving the core gameplay and addressing lingering issues that have accumulated since the game's release in March. In a post on the game's official website, the Division team detailed what's coming in the game's version 1.4 update this October. The update will include a number of bug fixes, game balance adjustments, and other unspecified improvements. Update 1.4 will be released independently of the Division's next expansion, Survival, which has been postponed until later this year. Previously, Update 1.4 and Survival were going to be released in tandem. Quote, with Update 1.4 in the works, it has become clear with your feedback and our own observations that our priority should now be on improving the core gameplay experience, Ubisoft said in a post. Division's third expansion, Last Stand, has also been pushed back to early 2017. Originally, it was due at the end of 2016. So, man,
Yeah.
I have not played this game in months, so I don't know how it's doing. But all I ever hear is people that do play it are just very unhappy right now. So maybe this is the right choice, like trying to fix the game before they even release any more stuff. But I will say it again. I don't think the Dark Zone is a good environment to keep the game surviving. I think the game definitely needed a dedicated, separated PvP mode to keep it alive, and it didn't have that. Yeah. It's like, imagine if Destiny launched without the Crucible. Like, that game would have been dead. Like,
yeah, or if
Crucible is what kept it alive for so long, basically.
Yeah, or if like one of the planets you went to was the Crucible, but you had to do missions inside of it that were single player. That would be like, that's basically what the Division is. Which, you know,
and rogue guardians could snipe you with every spear and take all your loot.
It was a decent idea. I mean, it was a good try by Ubisoft. They were trying something different. It didn't work. And
I think the Dark Zone itself is interesting, but it got so prone to like cheaters and hackers and
now the game is
like
just,
once. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's just the game community is just tiny now. I mean, after all the things that happened, you know, all the screw ups, all of the, you know, all the stuff that wasn't getting fixed, they just, you know, people just left. And now it's like a very small amount of people playing that game now.
I saw a chart of the depreciation rate of monthly active users.
Yeah.
And it got pretty tiny, but it hasn't moved since then. So I think the crowd that's there are staying there. And I mean, I've talked about my problems with this game a lot. I don't like it at all. I think a lot of this problem has to do with just people building up the hype again, being like, "Oh, it's going to be great," and then
it's the Destiny killer.
Right?
Yeah. What a crap that was.
It's so funny. Like, oh man, coming into March, and I'm a huge Destiny fan. Coming into March, it was nice to have a little break from it. Right? It was like, I'm kind of playing Destiny, but not really. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I had my nice 2-week break with the Division, and then I was like, there's nothing to do in here. I'm going back to Destiny. Because, you know, by then they were like, April update, it's getting hyped, you know, Prison of Elders. So I was like ready to come back. But I was so funny, like how hella people in the Destiny community were just like, oh man, I'm going to Division. It's like they have a whole roadmap for the end of the year. Bungie
now all
hasn't
this
said
is
nothing
happening.
about nothing,
Right,
and all this cool stuff's coming out. And within a month, so many people coming back being like, I realized I had it good here. And
Take me back, baby.
yeah, so many. I see posts all the time still on our Destiny the game that are just like, I played the Division for a couple months and I came back to Destiny and realized like I've been spoiled and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's because the core Destiny experience is like really
Super good.
and the Division core experience is only good for like
a
little while. I heard someone made a really good point. Someone on, I think, Destiny the game, they were saying like the main problem with the Division is that from level 1 to 30 it's really fun, but then after that the end game sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
And they've said the main problem with Destiny is that 1 to 40 kind of sucks, but at least it goes fast, and once you hit the end game it's like the real game sort of starts, and then it's really fun.
Which I would argue is most good MMOs ever.
Yeah. Yeah, like WoW,
part, yeah.
WoW I think has a good balance, but maybe that's just because like Draenor wasn't very good. We'll see. Legion comes out this week. Oh, I'm excited.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I have to basically like mainline Legion before Rise of Iron comes out, because that's all I'm going to be doing, and I'm not going to play
man. Managing those two games at the same time.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I know, but like within close proximity.
I've got to plow through. I'm done in Destiny right now. I've finished everything except my chaperone quest, and that'll be there. Like, that's not going away. So I'm not really like fussing about finishing it anytime soon. Like,
I ain't fussing.
I ain't fussing. I got all these planetary materials. I got like 500 strange coins. I'm fucking ready. All right. Yeah. Like,
although you said you were gonna power level me once I switch over to PS4.
Oh, I actually wanted to. I'll make it here concrete. I will make a pact with you, Dave. If you get a PS4 and buy Destiny the Collection, I will delete my hunter and re-roll an entirely new character with you.
Oh, I'm down with that.
Because A, I don't like my hunter, and B, I kind of like the idea of leveling up a new character. And I kind of want. I had a lady hunter, and I kind of want to make her an EXO now, and I think that would be fun. So.
Yeah, I mean, it basically depends on what happens on September 7th. If they say PlayStation Neo is a year off and the PS4 Slim is coming out now or whatever, I'll buy a PS4 that day. If they say Neo is coming out in October, I'm going to wait till October.
Yeah. So Sony, it's up to you. If Dave's playing Destiny with me and the Sword Logic's crew.
Sony, can you bring
September?
Can you bring two friends together, Sony?
Yeah. But I will say, like, yeah, at least in Destiny, like getting to level 40 is like not really all that hard. I
already got there.
Like 8 hours or whatever. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't take very long. Well, in the Division, it took like a week or two. I know some people got there like day one because they're fucking crazy, but like it took me like a week or two. We finally got there, and then it was like, well, now what? It's like, oh, I can go get Phoenix credits to get a better yellow gun. So, yeah. No thanks. Like, especially since the guns, all they did was gun. Like, they were just like, what does this gun do? It shoots bullets. Why is it better than this blue gun? Because it's yellow. Like, all right, cool. Like, whereas in Destiny, it's like, what does this yellow gun do? You're like, oh man, it's a fucking AK-47 that like links lightning bolts to each, like, the enemies. Like, that's dope. And then you're like, what does this hand cannon do? It's like, oh, it's like a Western revolver that you can like fan the hammer with. And you're like, that's dope. And then you're like, oh man, what is this rocket launcher do? You're like, it's a fucking rocket launcher that has other tracking rockets in it after the rocket explodes. And you're like, what? Like, that stuff's fun. It's like, let me get this crazy other dumb yellow gun. Anyway,
moving on.
Move on. Halo 5's Forge mode is coming to PC for free this September. For the love of God, Dave and I are still asking, put this game on PC.
Yeah, I mean, they would sell gangbusters if they did it.
They would.
Like,
I would buy it again.
If they put it on Steam, that would be the end. Like, that game was so ridiculous. Well, they're putting Quantum Break on Steam now.
Oh yeah, I saw that. They were finally doing that.
Yeah, but this is gonna be on Windows Store, which, I mean, most people are gonna be forced over to 10 at some point. So yeah, whatever.
Whatever. love this game. When I use Forge on a console, it's like fucking impossible. So I imagine using it on PC is going to be awesome. I'm going to download it and take a shot. It comes out September 8th. So that's pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna toy with it. I bet some of the I don't know if you guys saw on the Halo subreddit, someone designed a game mode that's basically like mini golf or whatever.
I did see that, yeah.
Or it's just like every Spartan is on their own team, and they just have like a golf ball that's their same color, and like there's all these weird spinning windmills and stuff. They have to melee their golf ball.
Actually,
yeah, it looks
speaking of all the
really
crazy
fun
stuff, I mean, I forgot to mention I played Halo on just yesterday actually, and
nice.
they had a playlist called Community Action Sack, which has a bunch of different community made game modes like Mantis Breakout. You remember that, where you climb in the Mantis and you play Breakout basically. But they also had this cool thing called Minotaur, which basically what it is it drops like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 people, maybe 10, into a map that's a labyrinth. It keeps switching its walls up, and then they drop a guy in a mantis in there, and he hunts down everyone with the mantis.
That is dope.
When you get killed, you drop in with a mantis, and now it's like infection kind of in that way. But like,
oh my God,
it's terrifying because like you'll round a corner and you'll see a mantis there, like, oh fuck, and you start running. But
that sounds so fun.
Yeah. And it was
man,
really, really good.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome.
But yeah, like I'm looking forward to what PC gamers are going to do with this, because like they're probably going to take those maps and add them to the Xbox version too.
Well, yeah, they are. I mean,
I think that's the whole point of this.
Yeah, I feel like
that's the entire point. Yeah. I think probably the Forge community will definitely move. Like, they'll move to just using the PC tool, because it's probably going to be like just a million times easier. So
yeah,
we'll see. Cool news. I just really hope that this means that we'll finally freaking get Halo 5 on PC, because I want it.
Maybe
so
eventually.
Bad.
I'm just saying, hold your breath.
Hold your breath. I'll be dead. Anyway.
You'll be dead.
Yeah, that's
like Star Wars.
Yeah. PlayStation Now and DualShock 4 adapter coming to the PC. So PlayStation Now, Sony's PlayStation 3 game streaming service, is coming to the Windows PC. Sony confirmed on its PlayStation blog. Alongside the streaming service will come a wireless DualShock 4 PC adapter, which hits stores this September. The streaming app will arrive in both North America and Europe at an unspecified date. As for the DualShock 4 USB adapter, it will cost $24.99 and enable the controller for use with a Windows PC and Mac remote play features, as well as PlayStation Now games. I was just saying to Dave before this, I really hope that this means that they're finally releasing a Windows driver for DualShock 4, and I don't have to use DS4 tool anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're gonna have to make this work. So
yeah,
I mean, this one by far, like I had to check this a couple times, like look at it real hard to make sure it was real. Like this is big that Sony's doing this.
Yeah, I'm into this because
I think it makes sense.
I have an Xbox One, and I thought about getting one of those adapters, and now I'm like, oh, I'll just get one of these.
Yeah.
Because I love the DualShock 4. It's probably one of my favorite game controllers probably ever. It just feels great to me.
That's a great
personally.
controller. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always use it when I do like emulation and stuff, because I think it has like one of the best D-pads ever. And stuff. Playing Mario World on a DualShock 4 feels amazing. Feels so awesome.
Amazing, but borderline heresy.
It is heresy. Yeah, but it's great. Yeah. It's great heresy.
Oh, I saw that dream, Josh.
It was heresy. Sorry, that's.
But anyway,
I like that. Good cut.
They have system specs, recommended system specs for PlayStation Now on PC, which I gotta say, I think PlayStation at some point is just going to become like a Netflix service, and you'll just pay a subscription.
I think that's their
want.
I think that's your hopes and dreams talking, Josh.
I'm not talking
I think they do want to do that.
But I'm not talking about the next 2 years. I'm talking like 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah. I mean, that investment in Gaikai was meant for
a long-term plan.
It was massive.
Yeah, I think this just falls in line with that. It makes total sense. Right. I don't know if it's really going to... I don't think it's going to stick. It sounds to me another like the Vita TV. Like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I would totally buy that, and then nobody does.
Yeah.
Well, I think
we'll see. I think the DualShock 4 is more important.
Yeah.
But the way I see it working is like they just turn games into a subscription thing. So imagine like if you just paid hell, I would pay like $20 a month and I could just play whatever I wanted. I would never unsubscribe.
To anyone who has not used PS Now, by the way, just a reminder, it's garbage for the most part.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah,
American
bandwidth is not up to snuff yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you have
however, I imagine it'll get better in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on Ethernet and you have like a somewhat okay connection, I mean, I think at my apartment I have like 50 down, 25 up. So that could probably do it just fine as long as it's on Ethernet. But if you're using any kind of wireless, which is what they kind of pitched to us, which is that you could use like wireless internet, like on your Vita or on your whatever, your PlayStation 4. Does not work very well. Don't do it. Yeah, games aren't meant to be streamed like that unless you have a really good connection.
Yeah, so they say that you need to have Windows 7 or higher.
I mean, it's not just
gasp.
What were you gonna say?
I was just going to say, it's not just like the connection, because PSN has like a lot of network issues for most of them.
Exactly. Yeah. They also say that you need to have a 3.5 gigahertz Intel Core i3 or 3.8 gigahertz AMD A10 or faster, which is like not very hard to get.
Like gasp.
300 megabytes or more system storage, which you should have. 2 gigs or more of RAM, which also you should have.
Yep.
Sound card, USB port.
Why are they even listing these? Like, you have to have these for most things.
They're saying these are recommended systems.
You have to have a display.
And then they say 5 megabits per second minimum connection speed, which most people shouldn't have a problem getting.
Yeah.
Again, that's recommended. I have like 200, but like when I use something, it usually pings at like 120, which is still pretty overkill. But
like if you live in more rural areas of this country, I would say probably skip out on this one.
Definitely not for you.
You're gonna be like you're gonna be banging your head against the wall on this one if you try it. Just just don't do it.
Yeah. Anyway, I still don't think PS Now is really like. Obviously people are fucking using it because they're still promoting it, and it's growing. So it's like more games keep getting added to it. So it's like somebody's paying for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Sony's doing impressive in digital stuff. They keep investing more in it. Like their last financial whatever showed some pretty impressive stuff. They make more money.
I do think that if this pans out correctly, I think that PlayStation becoming like the quote unquote Netflix of games in the next 10, 15 years, I think that's totally something that could and probably will happen.
That could be one way.
I could totally see it for like non-AAA games. Just like PSN becoming.
I think the PC crowd is going to be
like you won't get like brand new releases or whatever, but you'll get like stuff from a year ago, which I think for most people, I mean, we live in our like gamer bubble.
Yeah.
But like for us, we're like, Deus Ex came out, I gotta buy it. But I think most people and most of my friends are like, oh man, that like Lego Star Wars game came out like 6 months ago and now it's only $30. Yeah, I'll pick it up. Like they just don't like
100%. Yeah. And they won't care that like for all of a sudden the fucking resolution turns to like 2.
Yeah. One of my friends
split second.
One of my friends, I was just talking with him about Destiny today, and so I was just hanging out with him. He heard me talk about that game for like a year and a half, didn't give a shit, and then recently saw it on Amazon on sale for like $10. And he was like, yeah, why not? And now he's like really into it. And I'm like, that's just who he is. He buys games like way later. He bought like Far Cry 3 like 2 or 3 years after it came out because he was like, oh, this was pretty good. Like, most people are just not like us. Yeah, most people are just not like us. You know, we're
Kyle, I'm just
enthusiasts.
I'm getting this really funny picture in my head where like somebody's playing on PlayStation Now, and then all of a sudden, like the screen just blinks, and all you see is like 2 pixels, and then comes back, and the person's just like, "This is fine." Like literally, you said 2. You said 2, so it's like that's 2 pixels. Like
literally a red and a yellow pixel.
Yeah, this is fine.
This is fine.
That's funny. Like the death light on PS3 or whatever. I get it. That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, last news story. Dragon Quest creator again confirms a launch on Nintendo NX. So Dragon Quest series creator Yuji Horii? I don't know. Appears to have confirmed again that Dragon Quest 11 will launch on the Nintendo NX, according to a roundtable discussion published in a Japanese magazine. So we're getting a proper Dragon Quest game? Because Dragon Quest 10 is the MMO, right? So 11 is like an actual game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was
And
announced.
not to say
ago.
MMOs are not actual games. I'm hyped for WoW. Don't fucking email me.
Oh, and if any of you made it this
like,
far, I don't actually support Trump. Back when we said that, like, just to clear the air here, I am leaning on the Johnson.
While we're all making confession.
Yeah.
I've never actually, Kyle, you said you've played some Dragon Age games. Or Dragon Quest games. Sorry,
Dragon Age.
I've never actually played like a proper Dragon Quest game.
Do you want to know about
pitch this to me? Yeah,
I've been meaning to.
What is the big
deal?
deal?
I can't pitch you 11, but because I don't know about it.
We don't know anything about it. I know, but like as a series, like pitch to me.
So obviously the clearest analog would be Final Fantasy. Dragon Quest 1, much more bare bones. It's very basic, and they don't evolve much. They don't have like these grandiose stories or these like. I would argue that even their characters are not as beloved as like Final Fantasy characters have become, and maybe that's just because of my personal bias. But what Dragon Quest is to me is like when you think of a JRPG classic, that's what that is through and through. It always has the same looking characters. It always has the same sort of systems. It always is the same, and the reason for that is because it's good. Its original fighting system was like POV sort of, so like instead of seeing your characters, you would see the enemies front facing.
So it was like the original Phantasy Star.
Yeah.
On Master System.
Just like that. Phantasy Star is much more influenced by Dragon Quest than it is Final Fantasy. So
Phantasy Star is a really good game.
It is. Phantasy Star 2
game a lot.
Phantasy Star 2 is one of the
2
greatest.
and 4 are like fantastic.
For sure. But Dragon Quest is it's hard to explain to somebody who's never been interested in it before, but I would say it's grind heavy. It's pretty intense for an RPG. It's difficult. It's not a breeze to play, but these games I definitely believe to be like one of the pillars of video game history, and I think they're every single one of them. I can't think of a single Dragon Quest that's bad. And to know that we're getting this new one that's going to be next gen, I think is a great time to jump in if anyone ever has cared. If you don't like JRPGs, you're not going to like it. So don't try this if you're not into that stuff. But
I do like JRPGs.
So do I.
The grindy nature that you're describing doesn't
honestly
bode well for me just because of the way my life is now. I can't be grinding.
Well, you see, the thing is, most JRPGs are kind of getting that now. They're kind of like, they're making it less grindy than it used to be. Like, when I played Tokyo Mirage Sessions, that was like, there was a little bit of level grinding on like 2 of the dungeons, but for the most part, I was going through just like fighting the enemies as I went, and I was able to beat the boss. So I think that, at least Atlas is getting it. I'm not sure if that necessarily translates to Square Enix, but
for this, no.
Yeah.
There's no thought in my mind that they're going to change. Dragon Quest is a staple.
True.
It's always been that way. It's not like we're not getting Dragon Quest games. Like we're getting 2 re-releases very soon.
Well, I'm looking at the mainline series, and this series has jumped from like platform to platform a couple times now. So it's like it was originally on the Famicom, Super Famicom, then it went to PS1, then it went to PS2, then it jumped into Nintendo DS, then it went to Wii U and 3DS. Now it's on PS4 now with the NX and the 3DS.
Yeah.
Which is like that's a lot of jumping around
everywhere in Japan.
That's like what Kingdom Hearts did.
I mean, sorta.
Yeah,
that's fairly similar. Dragon Quest has not had a mainline on console one that's been super good since 8. So people are really fucking thirsty for this. 8 is amazing. Some people say it's their favorite. Not to me. 5 will always be my favorite. Hand in the Heavenly Bride, the original waifu. Totally, Bianca's my girl. But it's Dragon Quest. I think it's charming storybook. Like if you like the attitude that Ni no Kuni has, like in its fantasy world, I think you would like Dragon Quest. That's the whole game. Definitely not the same fighting system, of course. It's not Pokemon, but like the slime, it's gonna be the first enemy you fight all the time. And I like Dragon Quest. I'm very excited for 11, and I'm happy it's coming to NX.
I'd be willing to give it a go. I've always been kind of fascinated by it. I like that it has like that cool Dragon Ball Z art style. What's that artist's name?
Akira Toriyama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always kind kind of interested me, but I've never like known a good like jumping in point. I know there was that one on PS2, like 9 or whatever it was on PS2.
It's 8. It's 8.
Yeah.
8?
Yeah,
Wow.
which is getting a re-release really soon on 3DS.
Oh, on 3DS.
Yeah. That's the problem. All these Dragon Quest games, they come out on DS all the time, and I'm just like, I don't care.
Well, I mean,
It seems weird. Like,
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's like that's the Japanese market, really. You know, the 3DS is big over there, so that's where.
And it also
what
is not hard to develop for. So
not at all.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, that wraps up all of the news for the week. Now, there's not a lot coming out next week. Correct me if I'm wrong. I only found 2 things that are pretty big.
Lay it on.
All right. We don't have a bump for this section, do we?
Nah, I might make one at some point.
Don't.
We'll figure one out. It'll just be like, releases or something.
Just screaming, release.
So the one thing that I found coming to Xbox One is Killer Instinct Season 3.
Oh, nice.
Indeed.
So 8 new characters are coming to Killer Instinct with Season 3 update, including Rash from Battletoads, Arbiter from Halo, Kim Woo, and Tusk. And they don't name all the rest, but that's pretty cool. So if you're into Killer Instinct, I couldn't really get into it, but I get the appeal. So if you're
It's a great fighting game.
still playing that, if you're still playing that game, bunch of new characters coming out. So that's cool. And then the other big release that I could find and knew about was World of Warcraft Legion is coming out. So I'll be diving headfirst into that. And for people who don't know much about the expansion, I'm not going to give a super like long thing. I'm just going to say level to level 110. They're doing a bunch of daily missions, like kind of just redefining the game. All the classes got like cleaned up and they're like way different now, really fun to play. And if you buy the expansion, you get a free level 100 character, so you can just jump right into the expansion if you want. And if you only own like, let's say you stopped playing a Cataclysm and you're like really excited to come here, all you have to buy is Legion. You don't have to buy like Pandaria and Warlords and Legion,
Yeah.
So you just have to spend the $50 on Legion. They give you all the rest of the stuff, and you're basically good to go. Demon Hunters are really fun. You can triple jump and fly. It's really fucking cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to mainline this like someone would mainline a huge pile of Coke, because I have to get ready. I have to get ready for Rise of Iron literally 20 days after this comes out. So I have to blaze through the storyline in this. And I'm going to be playing all the raid content probably around Christmas time, because I'm just going to blaze through the story, and then I have to like get ready for Rise of Iron, because that's going to be my thing. Like, I love Warcraft, but like, Is
there any possibility that Legion would be so good it would tear you away from Destiny?
Maybe. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Blizzard games, but I've always been a very casual WoW player. Just because like I don't really have a lot of friends that play it, and I'm not really involved in like a clan. And I think one of the big things about WoW and just MMOs in general is that it's really hard to just sit down and play with someone. It's like, all right, okay, what faction are you? Okay, we're both Alliance. Wait, are we even on the same server? Like, what server are you on? Oh, I'm on this other server.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. We're on the same server. That's awesome. What level are you? Oh, I only have like a level 50 rogue. Oh, I'm like level 100. It's like there's so many barriers to playing that it's like you got to find a clan and all these things. Whereas Destiny, it's like, oh, you're only like level 20 and I'm level 40, but it's like, oh, but I can still come help you on your missions, and it's still really fun, and I'm still kind of getting stuff for it,
Right.
So I that's always been a huge barrier. Like if I wanted, I could join. I'm on like a big PvE server. It's like I could join a guild, but then I like really got to get invested, and it's like I'm already running a clan right now that's grown to like 50 members in preparation for Rise of Iron, and a lot of really fun people. We're having a good time. I'm helping them kind of finish raids and stuff for getting ready. Like I'm so invested in Destiny that I can't imagine like WoW Legion so far, the pre-patch stuff's been really cool and really good, but I can't imagine like abandoning my cool clan that I've built up over the last 3 months of 50 awesome people that I'm having a lot of fun playing with and having good times and laughing and shooting stuff, So Yeah, I don't think so. But I do really love WoW. I love World of Warcraft, and I guess those are the same things. I don't know why I'm. But
WoW and World of Warcraft.
WoW and World of Warcraft. I love Warcraft in general, but
right.
Yeah, I'm excited though. I'll probably gonna be playing. Like probably when the servers go live at midnight tomorrow, I'll probably be online.
Nice.
I did it for Warlords of Draenor, and that was pretty funny. It was like 200 people standing in front of this fucking portal, just waiting. Like the minute that thing popped on, it was chaos. Like
Jesus.
It was just everyone trying to click the same
portal
quest things and kill the same thing. It was so like it's chaos, but it's fun. So. And everyone just gets super hyped, and it's a good time. So, and I couldn't really find anything else other than that. I don't know if anyone knows of anything else really coming out.
Coming out this week? I mean,
yes.
I never pay attention to that shit, so I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I don't really know of anything that's coming out. Actually, this is kind of a dry week.
Yeah, I didn't
Last
really.
Week was no.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Last week was pretty heavy, so.
Yeah. I was gonna look at the PlayStation, the drop or whatever, and see if they posted a.
That's a good movie.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. Assault Suit Linos. I don't even know, dude. I'm just gonna find.
Oh yeah, they reviewed that on TZR. Apparently, it's not very good. But although there is one standout piece of epic gamingness.
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan for PS4, PS3, and PS Vita, both digital and retail.
Is that coming out on Steam too?
I just tweeted out games that I want to play, but as poor as fuck, and that was on there.
Yeah. The international hit anime Attack on Titan is coming to PlayStation. Battle is joined between the man-eating titans and Eren and his companions. Okay, I'm starting to feel like Colin.
I might pick this up. I might actually pick this. It comes out tomorrow? Oh, wait, no, it comes out Tuesday. I didn't realize we slid into after midnight, so it says the 29th on my computer now. But,
Batman, the Telltale series, episode 1, I guess is coming to PS3. I guess it wasn't on PS3 yet. That's
interesting.
Bears Can't Drift coming to PS4. The art for this looks adorable. Put your paw to the floor and power slide between the pines as you face off against up to 3 friends in multiplayer split screen. You have me already. Includes 12 tracks spread across 3 worlds and 3 game modes with up to 11 computer-controlled opponents. It's called Bears Can't Drift? Like an exclamation point and a question mark. Is a retro kart racing action with modern look and feel. I'm kind of interested in this. There's no pictures of it though, so
I think we're all forgetting the potential game of the year that's going to be coming out this week.
Are you saying Uno?
Hatsune Miku Project Diva X.
Oh,
hey, those games are awesome. No joke, those are good games.
Actually, it's got an 82 on Metacritic right now, and
is that the game where you push all the dots?
I don't know.
Yes, it's one of those.
This is a rhythm game, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a game where you push all the dots.
Yeah, you press the buttons.
Yeah, there's like a curve. It's like Elite Beat Agents. Yeah. It's like that shit.
Mm-hmm. Claire Extended Cut. I don't know what that is. It says while visiting her sick mother, Claire takes. It looks like a horror game, sort of. It's got this weird glitchy. Claire takes a wrong turn and stumbles into a dark passage of echoing doors and abandoned rooms. Lost and attempting to find her way back, Claire encounters an overprotective dog and a few denizens who are seemingly uninterested in Claire's plight. Did they block the door and windows to keep something out, or is a malevolent force stopping Claire from leaving?
This game sounds hilarious. She goes to her mom's house, gets lost, and no one cares to help her.
Yeah, I don't know.
She sees a dog.
Also, the final station, which I've heard a couple things about. Travel by train through a dying world. Look for your passengers. Keep your train operational, and make sure you can always reach the next station. Make your way through swarms of infected at each stop. Explore mysterious and abandoned stations looking for supplies and survivors. So it's like a zombie game where you're on a train, basically. And you get off at a station. You have to fight zombies and look for supplies.
Zombies on a train.
Sounds kind of cool. God Eater 2 Rage Burst. I don't even know what God Eater 1 is.
Yeah.
3 years after the events of God Eater Resurrection, a mysterious red rain sparks a fatal pandemic called the Black Plague. With no established cure, this scourge has a mortality rate of 100% once infected. Take control of the newest recruit as you master incredible weaponry, challenge enormous monsters, and cooperate with an iconic cast of characters fighting for humanity in God Eater 2 Rage Burst. Sounds like modern Japanese action games, basically.
It sounds like a
Monster Hunter thing.
It's sort of like that. It's a D3 publisher, the guys that do tons of like low budget ass fucking Japanese games. But God Eater is super cool. I love God Eater.
Yeah. Resident Evil 4 PS4 re-release comes out. That's pretty self-explanatory. And I don't see anything really like super. Oh, The Witcher Wild Hunt Complete Edition.
Game of the Year
comes to digital and retail. This is basically the version of the game that comes with all 16 DLC packs and the 2 expansion packs, Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine. So if you haven't played The Witcher and you're like waiting for that Game of the Year edition, here it is. It's finally here. So yeah, I think that's about it. Now we get into our topic of the show.
Topic.
Pick scrape.
Topic. So a couple weeks ago, I think like 2 weeks ago, there was this hashtag that got a lot of attention on Twitter called your 7 favorite games. And like everybody was basically tweeting about all their favorite games, and
devolved into like 7 favorite YouTubers, 7 favorite Twitch streamers, all that stuff.
Yeah, there was a bunch.
Literally turned into everything.
It went nuts.
So I thought I had originally written a list, and then eventually I found the tweet where it said I can just fill this with a bunch of Blizzard games and Eternal Darkness and call it a day.
I think I saw that tweet, and that's what made me make my tweet.
Yeah. But since then I've written a list. Now we should be clear, like it's so weird because a lot of these shift. My absolute top favorite game hasn't shifted in a long time.
I think like it might be a good idea to revisit this like once a year to see if they change. Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
That's the best way to go about it, because I think with time your opinions on certain games do change, whether or not you realize maybe one of your favorite games wasn't so great, or one of your games that you thought was just kind of okay was actually one a game you really, really liked. Yeah, it's just the way it is.
It's weird because there's so many games that like I want to put on this list because I have such emotional attachments to them based on like just experiences I had playing them with friends or doing something. Like one of the games that I really struggled with putting on this list was the original God of War, and it's only because I really love that game. I think it's fantastic, and it's probably the best God of War game that was ever made was the first one. The reason I have such a huge emotional attachment to it is because my friend and I basically played it for like hours straight one day while his mom was having this huge Christmas party, and we were like locked in his room in the dark just playing God of War for like 8 hours. And we would occasionally like sneak out to get food and like sodas and stuff, and then go back in the room and try to, and like we were on Ares for like 2 hours and we finally killed him, and just have this like great like connection with it. But I felt like it's still not like good enough to be on my favorites, so it's strange. Like it's like there's so many games like that I want to put on this list.
Now, before we start the list, we want to know in the comment section, what are your favorite 7 games? Put them in the comments there. Let us know, and maybe we might look them over.
Tell us why ours are bad and why we're wrong.
Tell us how I want to know why I have bad opinions.
Yeah. So
for sure. Yeah. How do we want to do this? Do we want to go like 7 up to our top and like do a brief explanation of why, or do we just want to go person by person and just let them like rattle it off? Like, what do you guys want to do?
The best way, as far as like, just so that it's easier to listen to, is that just have us go one by one. And then actually, Josh, if you want to, you could split these up into 3 separate videos if you wanted to. Just like Dave's 7 fave, Josh's 7 faves.
Dave's 7 fave.
I like that.
All right, let's do that.
I love when we talk about how to produce stuff on the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm an open book.
Well, now that I'm pushing our YouTube stuff, I think that's a good idea.
Guys, we're an open book. I mean, like, we really aren't gonna like. We'll talk about back end stuff right on.
I hate our audience. I just want to be. No, I'm just fucking.
He's like making America great again. I hate our audience. So funny. Okay, so I'll just go down. I'll go last, but I'll go down the list. I see Dave first. So Dave, like, why don't you give me your 7 games in any order you want, I guess, and then just explain.
I actually do have a logical order for this, and this is the order in which they became my favorite games. So chronologically,
I like this.
So the first one shouldn't be a surprise to you guys. It's Jet Set Radio, Jet Grind Radio for anyone in the US. I played the Dreamcast version when I first. This whole story behind this is crazy because I almost never played it. Basically, I was sitting in Toys R Us with my mom, and I showed her the cover for Jet Grind Radio, and it had a guy with like had beat in his skates with the spray paint can, and she was reading all the warnings and whatnot. She's like, "You're not getting this. You're like 10 years old." And I was like, "Fuck." And instead, I bought Super Smash Brothers 64. Which I like. I mean, my friends had.
That's still a good choice.
It was a good choice,
Yeah,
but I was happy.
one of the best games ever.
I was happy with that choice, but I still really wanted Jet Set Radio. So so we left Toys R Us, and then right across the street from the Toys R Us is a Sears, and we went into the Sears, and she was looking at some equipment or whatnot, or some clothes, I forget, but there was a demo for Jet Set Radio. Set up, and I grabbed a controller, started playing it. She came over, she asked me what I was playing. I was saying this is the game I was showing you, and she was like, "Oh, this isn't so bad. You can have this." And so that's how I got Jet Grind Radio. And then, of course.
Thanks, Sears.
However, thank you, Sears. Actually, and that's not the last time I'm going to thank Sears on this one. Actually,
Sears will return.
This is about to be a whole what's that show? They
Josh,
review people's homes.
The thumbnail for my video should just be a picture of a Sears.
The Sears logo. Stop 7 games.
People are going to think you're talking about that.
Dave lives in a Sears.
Well, people are going to think you're talking about that like Sears Atari or something.
Yeah, for sure.
But
it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like it's the first game I sat down with that really made me feel like I could play video games for the rest of my life. Like that was really,
I love that feeling.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. I loved the music. I loved the aesthetic. I still continue to play that game to this day. I buy it on pretty much every platform I have. It's that crazy with me. So that's why it gets my first spot. Second spot, it's another Sears story, actually. This is the second Sears story.
There we go.
This is around the time the GameCube was coming out. And I'm not going to rehash my whole Christmas story again, but because that was on XBF. But Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2. So that one was basically, I'd played Rogue Squadron 1 on the N64, and I thought, this is fun, but it's missing something. Like, it was just like the frame rate was a little too choppy. The combat was a little weird. I thought controls were kind of awkward. When I finally grabbed the GameCube controller in the Sears and played Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, I was like, I want this. I want a GameCube. I want it now. And of course, you guys know the rest of that story. It was really hard to get one. My dad finally got one. And it was a big surprise on Christmas. And I was like, oh my God, amazing. And I
love that story, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. It's one of my favorites too. But I actually have a GameCube with, and if I'm not mistaken, Rogue Squadron is in here. Yeah, I actually opened up the GameCube. It's in there. Because after I rebought a GameCube after I sold mine a while ago, the first game I bought was Rogue Squadron. So that is, I mean, even though there's definitely issues with the game, I'm not blind to that. It's just that it was so much more fluid. I think it might be 60 FPS. I don't know. I haven't done a frame rate on that, but the missions were so much better. It had the icon. The first level is the run on the Death Star. Like it's like you can't get better than that. That's amazing. And then the Battle of Hoth is the third mission. Like it's, they are just ramping you through the Star Wars nostalgia, and they're adding a bunch of cool missions on top of that. With the exception of 2 missions. 2 missions were really, really hard to do, and I was like about to break my controller. But that will forever cement itself. Like those 2 games will probably never leave my list ever. Now moving on to a game that is probably going to leave my list maybe at some point. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. So
Battle. Okay.
Yeah, well, Battle was the one I played. I didn't get the one for Dreamcast when it came out. I don't know what happened there. Maybe I just didn't pick it up or something.
It's better, I think.
But Battle's better. I mean, it's Sonic Adventure 2 with a multiplayer mode put into it. Yep. And the multiplayer was just kind of it's not really what I cared about. My memory of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was both in the Sonic levels and the Shadow levels, which I really liked. I was never a huge fan of the Knuckles levels at all, or the Rouge levels.
Is garbage.
They were both really bad badly designed levels. I didn't hate.
Okay.
I did not hate the Tails or the Eggman levels though. I actually liked them quite a bit.
They're so easy though.
Yeah, and the other thing that kind of ticked me off, and this is something that Pro Jared was talking about when he was talking about the game, is that beeping noise when you're doing the lock on for Tails or for Eggman. It's like beep.
It's in your head.
It's like, oh my god, like this is hurting. Like it didn't bother me as a kid, but like now as an adult, I'm like, wow, that's really fucking annoying.
Yeah,
but
the incentive to not have it on the whole.
But the real memory I have of it is actually playing with my friends, and we would raise chows together in the chow garden.
Yeah. Oh man, chow garden.
Yeah. And even
was real.
And I kind of realized that this game, I realized this game deserved a spot on my list when I was in college, and I brought the GameCube that I bought with me, and I still had the memory card that I had when I was a kid. I popped it in, put in Sonic Adventure 2, and I went into the chow garden from when my friends and I were raising these chows, and I like instantly was flooded with all of this nostalgia about these chows. Like I knew which ones belonged to who. I thought
you were going to say it'd become a dystopian wasteland.
Oh well,
all the chows are dead.
All of them are dead. They ate each other. One evil chow is just sitting there grinning at me. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to leave now.
He's like, they tried to eat me. I ate them first.
I'm not a bad man.
But no, it's like that was before there was like an internal clock, I guess, or maybe it was one of those games that didn't take advantage of the clock really. I know like Animal Crossing did, but at the same time, it was like I just stepped into a piece of history for me, which that kind of made me realize like this game deserves a spot. But now we're moving on. We're moving over a generation. Gears of War. So Gears of War, I mean, I'm not going to say that I was like blown away by Gears of War's campaign. It was a pretty good campaign. It was worth playing. I enjoyed it, but it's not like one of those campaigns that was like, oh my God, this is like the best thing ever. What really cemented Gears for me was the multiplayer. I mean, basically that was my first experience with Xbox Live. So
nice.
Yeah, my friends and I from high school would pretty much every weekend, at least a couple of us would get together and just play Warzone over and over again. I think it was called Warzone. I know Halo has
Warzone was the eliminate or
Warzone's the elimination one, right? That's the one we played.
Yeah. That's all they had. They didn't add Team Deathmatch till Gears 2.
Gears 2, and then Ultimate was the one that brought it back into Gears 1. But I say a lot. That's a How I Met Your Mother thing. Anyway, the Gears of War, I mean, as far as the multiplayer experience goes, like I will not look back on it and say, oh, well, Gears of War beats everything. I'm just saying that Gears of War was the first real experience I had with online multiplayer, and it was so eye-opening. And I made a video like a year ago called What Gears of War Meant to Me, and that was really what it meant to me. It introduced me to the rest of the world, essentially. Because I mean, I remember being on like the first month I had it, I remember playing with a guy who was like, yeah, I'm over in the UK, and I'm just like, holy shit, like I'm playing with somebody from Great Britain right now. This is ridiculous. Like it didn't.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
It's a weird feeling. And
cool one though.
Granted, we're used to it now. I mean, hell, I'm talking to one guy in Missouri and one guy in California right now, but and without any lag whatsoever. But
I'm in Narnia.
But that's what Gears of War meant to me.
All right.
Okay, so moving on, number 5. This was probably, while Gears of War didn't affect me campaign-wise, this game's campaign, I will probably say, is still the best campaign I've ever played. And I'm saying that subjectively speaking, Mass Effect 2.
Nice.
Mass Effect 2 has one of the best stories I've ever borne witness to. I mean, this is BioWare at their absolute best. They wrote this story and they said it's like an Empire Strikes Back type of feel, and it really was. I mean, it's from the moment that the original Normandy is blown up, and then you're rebuilt, and then you're kind of working for Cerberus, but you're kind of not necessarily being forced, but you realize you kind of have to work with them, and it feels scummy, but you kind of realize you both have the same goal at the end of the day. Well, until Mass Effect 3, but it's. Spoilers if you haven't played the games. I mean, like, come on now. This
Cerberus isn't the good guy.
It's Charlie Sheen's dad. What else do you need to know?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, and the fact that they got Martin Sheen to voice the Elusive Man, like that was such a huge thing to me back then.
It's a celebrity packed game.
Yeah, it was a celebrity game. I mean, Mass Effect 3 ended up getting Freddie Prinze Jr. Who else? Like, there was a bunch of other people who ended up in Mass Effect. at some point in some of the games. But
Seth Green, baby.
But Mass Effect 2 is also the game that introduced to me the concept of DLC, good DLC, which was the Lair of the Shadow Broker. Lair of the Shadow Broker, one of the, I mean, I honestly, even just like the whole assault on the Shadow Broker's lair is really, really good. But my standout moment was like the Star Wars Episode 2-ish chase scene where you're just like chasing this person through the city. It was so different than what Mass Effect had done until that point. So I'm
gonna let you finish, but I just gotta say, like, Shadow Broker is like better than the Mass Effect 2 plot. It's good.
It's really good, yeah.
Wow, bold statement.
I still think I think it fits.
I'm not saying the Mass Effect 2 plot's bad. I'm just saying Shadow Broker is that good.
Yeah.
In italics statement.
Shadow Broker was good. And then I also played Arrival, which, it was not the best DLC, but it definitely played around with the idea, because Shepard's always had a team, so playing alone with Shepard again was kind of an interesting experience, but at the same time I kind of wreck house as Shepard anyway, so it's like whatever.
But, a little bit just awesome. As
a funny little aside though, I was talking to one of my friends about this, and when he was in college, he had he had this friend who would be playing Mass Effect 2, because that game had like a shitload of replayability value. So like I played Mass Effect 2 like 7 or 8 times, I think, in total. It was crazy amount of replays for a game for me. But this kid was playing through it, and he was playing as the Vanguard class, the one that has like the half biotics, half soldier. So like you play with a shotgun, and you can do you can do some of like the more aggressive biotic stuff. And like how in Mass Effect 2 they had where if you press like a certain button, he does like the charge thing where like he like zooms at the person, it hurts them. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So when
I
he
never used.
Yeah, so when he do this, and my friend would hear this from like down the hall, he'd hear Vanguard and just shoot at him. And like this happened like every day. Like he'd just be reading something and he'd hear from the other end of the hallway, Vanguard. But so I started doing it after I heard that. but yeah, that's why that game ends up. It's definitely, with the exception of my number 7. That's my number 7 is also a really good story, but I still think Mass Effect 2 takes the best story I've ever been privy to. So number 6, and this is actually one of the dings from Xbox Best Friends, PlanetSide 2. PlanetSide 2. If Gears of War was the first time I was ever introduced to multiplayer online, PlanetSide 2 was like more the expansion of that and the realization of that for me. Like it was like what I wanted from the beginning. Like when I was a kid, I like after playing Gears of War, I was thinking, what if they had this game where 3 separate factions fought each other? And at the time I was thinking, like, if PS3 had it and Xbox 360 had it and Wii had it, and they all had their own factions and they fought each other in this one arena. That didn't end up happening, and that's probably never going to happen. But PlanetSide 2 is pretty much the closest thing we're ever going to get to that. There's 3 separate factions. They're distinct. They have different things about them that, their guns are different, their power-ups are different, their fighters are different. They do have some stuff that's the same, but for the most part, you can tell there's a difference between these 3 factions. And it kind of like becomes like a role-playing type thing when you're playing as a certain faction, because you have like the new conglomerate who is like the shotgun-toting like freedom guys, whereas the Terran Republic is like the Empire, and the Vonu Sovereignty is the laser super religious guys, basically. And then that was my first real exposure to a guild. It's not called a guild in PlanetSide 2, it's called an outfit. And it's
like a clan.
Yeah, and it was kind of like being part of a family for a little bit, because I go online with these guys not every night, but close to every night during my senior year of college. And it was like I kind of knew them better than some of the people I knew at school. So when it got to that point, I realized that I was really addicted to this game, and that, it was going to be a game I was going to play for a long time. I eventually stopped playing because, you get bored of stuff eventually. But I think I put close to 2.5 years into PlanetSide 2. So.
Damn.
Yeah, in total. So.
It's a sign of a game you like.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely put that game in the number 6 slot. Okay, so number 7 slot, that was the other story-based game. And I went on a whole description of this back when I was first finished the game, and said basically this is probably one of the best games I've ever played, definitely the best JRPG I've ever played, and that is Persona 4 Golden. Persona 4 is probably one of the best Japanese JRPG stories I've ever gone through. It's basically exactly what I wanted. It's it's kind of like it's a high school slice of life anime mixed with a dungeon crawler, which is and then a murder mystery thrown in there too, which, you know, first when I heard it I was like, that sounds really weird, but then when I played like literally the first hour of it, I just couldn't stop. Like it's an addiction. And I don't even like dungeon crawlers to start with. I really don't. I don't even like role play, turn-based gameplay very much either. But for whatever reason, this game grabbed me, and I literally, any chance I could get to play it, and I would purposely do this at work. I would actually, because I played like a good chunk of it while I was on vacation, but then I came back to work and I still had like a good, I don't know, like 20 hours, 30 hours left. So what I'd do is I'd bring my Vita to work with me, and I would play the parts of the dungeon where there's no story going on, like the first like 7 or 8 floors. And then when I got home that night, I would play the final floor, which was the boss, and then get through all the story portions and then repeat. So
it's a good way to breeze through the crappy parts of that game.
Exactly. And of course I saw all the golden stuff. The other thing that kind of pissed me off is I got the bad ending the first time, and I didn't realize it until I was like, that was kind of bad. And then
it's tough to see that coming.
Yeah, because I'll admit I'm a little dense sometimes, so like I didn't quite pick up on the you know what I'm talking about, right, Kyle? That scene.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So yeah. I went the let's not do this because we're not bad people route. And I didn't go the wait, something's not right here route. So of course the game ended there.
Did you replay it?
No, basically I realized something was wrong when the game shot forward from December all the way to March. And I was like, well, I just missed like a good 3 months of content. So I went back and they were like, yeah, you got the bad ending. I reloaded my state and I just continued from there.
Okay.
Which didn't ruin it for me, which, you know, I still finished the game. I looked up how to get the true ending as well, because I was like, you know what, I just want to see the whole game as it was meant to be seen. So, and of course, it's like I didn't look up the spoiler for it. I just looked up how to do it. So, because like
I've never played through the real ending before.
Yeah, the real ending's weird because you have to do a very specific thing on your last day.
Don't you? Yeah, I was about to say, don't you have to like really know what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, you have to do something very specific on the last day, which no one would think to do. And it's right. You know, it's very out of the nowhere. You don't know you don't see it coming, and then you know you see it and you're just like, wow, that was very, very subtle, Atlas. Props. But yeah, it was like that kind of amazing storytelling, and just the way that game immersed me and just totally sucked me in for a good month of my life, you know, earns it that spot. 100%.
Yeah, man. I'm so happy you put that on there.
Yeah.
Everybody knew you would if anyone knows Dave, but
well, yeah, you knew Jet Set Radio was going to be on there too.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple of staples that you just know Dave's going to pick, but shit, man. Like I didn't put Persona 4 on mine, but real talk just for a second, like Jesus Christ, the way that game and many Persona games, you know, this isn't exclusive to 4, but yeah, Jesus, that game, how it merges the mechanics of and the storytelling of just building a relationship was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen in a video game. It made me empathize with characters that I never thought I could. That's why I have fucking Yukiko as my fucking Twitter avatar. Like shit, man, that's just such an amazing game.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And the only reason I say that we should do this again next year is because that spot may be taken over by Persona 5, depending. So
possibly, man, possibly.
We don't know.
Never know.
Exactly. Well, that's my list.
All right. Well, Kyle.
Okay. So my list is, when I was thinking through my list, I tried to just be like, since mine could possibly change every single day, just to try and put some like glue together for the list. I was like, okay, what's the games I think about the most, the ones that I remember fondly the most, not just like how much I like them, but of course, as we all do, how much they affected and, you know, impacted us outside of just games and stuff. You like the memories and shit. So
all the feels.
I have a few honorable mentions real quick. I'm not going to go too far in them.
Oh, you're pulling it kind of funny.
Yeah. If we're going to emulate them, I figure why not just go all the way. So yes, 5 is my first one on that list.
I need to get a Johnson Weld shirt on real quick.
I need to go get some chicken wings.
Yep, we need a good little recipe for chicken wings over here.
Yeah,
I made that recipe. It's pretty good.
But anyway,
I've
your
never
games,
tried
Kyle.
Yes, Civ 5. That's my first honorable mention. I love Civilization as a series. I think genuinely, without a shadow of a doubt, it's one of the greatest and best designed games of all time. I know that's really like hyperbolic, but I think Civ is a really good educational game. Like clearly it's not a textbook, but you learn a lot of stuff while playing it. It also is just a lot of fun. It doesn't make it like too laborious to play or anything, even though it's like packed with really deep systems. But yeah, it's a middle ground for strategy games. Like it's not Age of Empires. It's not something crazy like that. It's not that World War II game. That's like I can't even think what it's
Company of Heroes.
Yeah.
No, not that one.
Oh.
Not Company of Heroes. It's like there's some World War II game where it's really fucking realistic in how it depicts like warfare and stuff. I can't remember what it's called, but point being, it's not like so extreme on that end, but it's also not like baby's first role-playing game, right? Like Civ is a staple. And Civ 5, in my opinion, is the best one. I've seen a lot of stuff for 6 and it looks great, but I think 5 is gonna still.
I'd say it's like a sim strategy game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it there's so much variety in the way you play it and stuff. So that's a good choice though.
Yeah, I love me some Civ. My second honorable. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, my second one is The Sims 2 on my honorable mention.
Wow,
that takes me back,
The Sims. Yeah, I do. I think it's like another legit great series. People give it a lot of shit because it's casual as fuck, but I think Sims 2 does a lot of really cool things. I've played every single one for a lot of time, just because I like building houses and stuff. But I think Sims 2, at least for me, just holds like that's the game I've played the most because that's where I was. I remember one day on either my birthday or Christmas, I got Sims 2 and Sims 2 University, which was the first expansion.
Yeah.
And I was so excited and didn't realize that was my first moment where like I realized my computer was a piece of crap because it was my parents, and like that first moment we're like, oh, I can't play every game I want to play on PC. Yeah. So I waited for like years before my brother got a laptop, and then I played that on his by sneaking in out of his fucking room and stealing it and installing it on his hard drive for like the night. But eventually, my parents got a real computer, so I played that.
Get a real PC, mom and dad.
Exactly. Fucking mom and dad. What are you doing?
What do you know about GTX 1080? Get out of here.
Oh man, but yeah, Sims 2 is super fun, so we put it there. So next one, Witcher 3. This one was on my list, but it got cut last minute.
Oh, I'm interesting to see what you cut for it.
Yeah, Witcher 3, I think, is one of the greatest Western RPGs I've ever played. Not just because it's big. I don't think that's what counts. Like volume does not get you points. I don't think
size doesn't matter to you, Kyle.
I mean, size matters if I'm putting it in my butt. But
okay. Holy shit!
You should not, Josh. Have we learned not to bait Kyle?
I know.
Oh my god!
Yeah, you set this up, man.
I did. I guess I did.
But yeah, Witcher 3 for me, it's so Mass Effect in some extent was like my first experience in like, oh, this is my waifu or whatever. I had played Dragon Quest V a long time before that, which was the original waifu simulator, but I just didn't get it back then. I didn't really understand what was going on. It was just systems and working. But Witcher 3 to me was something that like it made me think about the characters in a way that I never thought I could before. And I read this whole thing about it where it's like The Witcher 3 is not just about picking who you're gonna fuck, even though there's sex scenes and whatever, and like I'm sure you could play it that way if you wanted to. To me, The Witcher is, I picked a character that I did not like as much to be with Geralt because I figured that was the best choice for Geralt and the other person. And and it's like that. I've never thought about a game like that before. Mass Effect, I did not think about like that. I was just like, this is the character I want.
Yeah, Mass Effect's very personal, yeah.
Yeah, so Witcher 3 to me is just like, it's an RPG, but in such an amazingly beautiful way where I am not playing me. This is not a surrogate. This is more than that. I'm playing Geralt. This is the world he's in. I'm trying to make choices as Geralt, and he's also, building and stuff. And yeah, I just think it's a really great game.
Yeah, I'd share that whenever I play The Witcher. I always be very snarky which is not something I
Yeah,
am in
it's a
the
Geralt
real
move.
world. I'm like, if I was
a Geralt
Geralt, I
move.
would just not take shit like from
Right.
nobody. So
Yeah, same.
There were multiple times I just got into fights because I was like, Geralt wouldn't be putting up with this.
yeah, I'm like, the people, why do you have 2 swords? I'm like, let me fucking show you.
So I can cut your head off 2 times.
Yeah, fuck you, get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to drink my mead.
That too, because like I played Witcher 2, and that game I fell in love with. So Mass Effect's the last one on honorable mentions. I just played that game over. I think that's the game I've played the most, like over and over again. The most replays. I think I've done like 12.
The original
playthroughs
you're
max.
talking about, right?
Yes, Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
I think as an RPG, it's an okay RPG. I don't think it's amazing by any stretch of the imagination. I just have a lot of fond memories. I got it for Christmas one year, played it straight through that Christmas week, and literally, I think played it the whole year. And I just had a lot of fun with it. So.
Yeah. I have a lot of love for that
honorable
game
mentions
too.
done.
Yeah, I have a lot of love for Mass Effect as well, but the reason I put 2 over it was because 2's game mechanics are way better as far as gameplay goes.
I have arguments for that, but I mean, I don't need.
I think 2 is the best out of all of them. For me, it's 2, 3, 1. But
yeah,
I mean, a lot of
and I
people
totally get
disagree with
why. I totally get why.
Yeah,
I understand why
mine's 2, 1, 3.
Lots of people have hate for 1. Yeah, my actual list starts now. So I'm sorry I took so long in the honorable mentions.
It's all good.
But yeah, I know. Number 1, pretty expected for me, Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. So I love Final Fantasy. It's one of my favorite genre or franchises, and 7 in particular. So I did not play 7 when it came out. I didn't have a PS1. Didn't have a PS2 either. So this is gonna sound super weird, but my introduction to 7, outside of like hearing about it and stuff, was Advent Children.
Same here, actually. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, so we're on the same boat. Yeah. So I was in middle school. Yeah, but that's the thing. I love that movie so much because of it. But so I'm in middle school at the time, and I see a trailer for it, like from Jump Festival, and I'm really big into anime at this point in my life, and so oh shit, this looks fucking dope. I love the way that Cloud looks now and all this stuff, and so I watch Advent Children over the summer whenever I got it on DVD, and I also like pirated it on Ubuntu or whatever. No, it wasn't even that. It was like Kazaa.
Ubuntu is a operating system.
I was like, that's Linux. What are you talking about?
What I meant was uTorrent. I had the U in my mind, but I said Ubuntu. But okay, so I got like the Japanese version, watched it like over and over again without subtitles, and then I found one with subtitles, and then so I got it day one, and literally had it running all the time. Like I watched that movie so many times. I think I memorized like every single line in it for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, like I was just fucking obsessed. And then finally, I'm like, okay, I need to play Final Fantasy VII at some point because I like this movie so much. And by the way, the reason I like the movie is because it's like Dragon Ball Z but with swords. So
and not to mention,
I don't think it's a great movie.
Dude, the Sephiroth theme from Advent Children, holy shit,
fucking amazing, right?
It's one of the best themes.
It's the most cliched Final Fantasy or music video game song for someone to say that they love, but it's that way for a reason.
I don't care. It's amazing.
It's just awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Good.
Yeah. One Winged Angel with the guitar and shit. It's so good.
I was just listening to Black Materia by Mega Ran yesterday, and that song.
Mega Ran's dope.
Yeah. I love it. I met him at Kind of Funny Live too. I know he's super nice.
Right, man? Yeah, he's super nice.
We just walked up to him because he walked out like in the crowd, and we're like, "Hey, dude, can we get a picture with you?" He was like, "Yeah, of course." Like, it's super cool.
Man, cool dude.
And then he went on stage and fucking killed it.
Yeah.
Came out and did Avalanche. It was dope.
Yeah. So I finally get a PS1 from my brother who's at college at this point, and he's like, "I know you've always wanted one. Here you go. You can play whatever." So I got 8 first, actually, because of money. So I finally get 7 later because I looked everywhere for a not greatest hits edition. So I finally found one.
So rare.
Yeah, it was tough. Thanks to my dad for buying that one. But yeah, get 7, and then it just blows me away with like, because it wasn't what I was expecting, getting all my information from Advent Children and playing through it. I loved how it was like, not to sound like emo or dark or whatever, but like, I like the fact that it's about death because, oh God, what is his name? Sakaguchi, his mom had passed away right before they started production on the game. And it's a really beautiful way to talk about death because the live stream and everything, it's like how to keep things moving and how like death isn't really necessarily, how things are forgotten or ending, and
dark and dying
spoiler
world.
right. Spoilers for the end of the game, but like the live stream is what winds up saving everything. It's not Cloud or the party. They just stop Sephiroth. So it's like, I appreciated that a lot. I love the characters to death. Even though Cloud's a little brooding little bitch all the time. I think Sephiroth's like the coolest villain. I think Tifa should just leave that dude and be happy for once. But yeah, I love 7. So yeah.
Pour out one for Aerith all day, every day.
I have opinions about Aerith and her death in that game, but that's neither here nor there.
Keep them to yourself.
Yeah. So, the second game on my list is Majora's Mask.
Good choice.
Nice.
Yeah, my favorite Zelda game. I played Ocarina of Time first, and then I got Majora's Mask. And then I had not known any other Zelda games before, though, so I assumed every Zelda game was like sort of a sequel to itself. Majora's Mask, clearly the only one that's a semi-sequel, other than, what was that 3DS one?
I kind of think of Majora's Mask as like an Elseworlds tale.
Yeah, that feels more appropriate. The only reason why I say that is, that's like, it's not a super sequel. It's not a real sequel. It's a semi whatever.
Yeah,
it's like a spin-off kind of like what if story.
Right. Yeah. So, but I also loved Termina. I loved how different it was. I loved how creepy the game was. Not a very, standard Zelda story.
Definitely has a vibe.
Yeah, the whole game. It's just really fucking weird, with the countdown of the clock and all that stuff. I remember actively thinking when I was younger, like, man, I got to fucking book it because, like, it's about to fall down. And so I just think I usually hate timelines in games and whenever they have a countdown timer. But I think Majora's Mask is a really good example of how to do that right. Next one on the list is Mega Man X4. This is my favorite Mega Man by far.
Is that one on the SNES?
Or
is that one of the
X4
PS1
was on
ones?
PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn and PC.
Not a big Mega Man guy.
PC? What the fuck?
You're going to have to guide me through it.
X3 was on PC too, but so Mega Man X4 is the first Mega Man game that got the redesign in the X series. And so if you remember Mega Man X 1 through 3, clearly very distinct from the normal Mega Man X games, Mega Man games, excuse me. But X4 got like super anime-y, and I love that aesthetic, and I think its sprite graphics still hold up to this day. I think it's very good looking, more so than 5 or 6, because I think 5 and 6 really utilize less hand-drawn stuff and way more computer graphics.
Dude, okay, now that I look at the box, I had this game.
X4 is great, right?
Yeah, it's great. I actually prefer Mega Man X to mainline Mega Man, and I adore the first game.
I think X is so much better.
And yeah, X4 is fantastic.
Did you play it on Saturn or PlayStation?
I had it on Saturn because it's me.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, he'd better.
Yeah. I just love the Saturn, man. It controls like shit on the Saturn because instead of mapping any of the buttons to the top 3, they're all mapped to the bottom 3. So while logic would dictate you should be able to jump and dash at the same time, it's very difficult to do that. But man, I love that game.
I was watching a speed run of Mega Man 8, and apparently like speedrunners play primarily on the PlayStation version because apparently the Saturn version is harder or something.
I've heard about that. I've never looked into it, so I don't know specifically.
They explained it during I watched I went through this period where I was watching all the games done quick stuff from this year and like just having a blast. And yeah, I watched Mega Man 8 because I had that game like in all its horrible glory. And
I bet you it's at least half of it has to do with that controller.
Probably, yeah. I would.
Because this is hard. Probably. It's hard to do platformers on that whenever it's fast paced or anything.
The PS1 just has such a good controller at the time.
It really does. It does. It blows the Sega Saturn out of the water with that. Let's see. Next one is BioShock 1.
Nice.
Yeah, like I appreciate BioShock. As time has gone on, I fucking hate it. But for what it was when I was in that space when I was younger, I adored that game. So
why do you hate it? I still think it's one of the best games like ever. It's still
the Vita Chambers, in my opinion, sort of devalue everything in the game. I'm just saying, like, these are parts of the game that are active for you to use. I think of course, the end of the game is really fucking terrible.
Oh, the end is awful.
Yeah, I think
I have it on good authority that the game was supposed to end at the twist, so that's when I stopped playing it.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, we have talked about this.
But I also have other issues with the game. But so BioShock, why I used to love it, why I don't like it anymore are all mechanics based. By the way, it doesn't take away like how much I got from the other parts that I did like. Mm-hmm. And so when I opened up the game, this is the first AAA game that I got on PC to play instead of like 360. I think it's because I didn't have a 360 at the time, but I could play it on my dad's HP. So I got it on that and put it in, and I was blown away with how much I sympathized with Andrew Ryan and how much, like, through environmental storytelling, I'm exploring an entire political ideology, right? Exploring like Ayn Rand's sort of what is that fucking called? Objectivism. I always want to call it rationalism, but it's not that. No. Objectivism.
It's objectivism. It's
right,
like, so be an asshole. It's like, that's what it is.
Sort of, yeah. But at the time, I want to say either a freshman or a sophomore. I was pretty young.
Yeah, I remember turning 17 the week before BioShock 1 came out because that was the first game I could buy.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I was around that age, and I was just like blown away with like how much like, oh, this shit makes so much sense and all this stuff, and like after the game, it made me explore objectivism. See, I did it again.
Yeah.
But so other than that, though, like just seeing Andrew Ryan's story through the environment, seeing how stuff went down, and of course, whenever I figured out later that it's like this is a story about why that's bad and how it sort of fucked shit up. And I thought that was so interesting. I've never had a game do that to me in that way, and I really appreciated it. I also thought the Big Daddies were fucking awesome. Now I don't, because I think that the value of them entering into a space is very devalued by the game, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, BioShock.
I think some of your mechanic things are solved by the later updates where they added the difficulties where you could turn the Vita chambers off. Because I went through a playthrough, I turned all that stuff off and made the game 10 times better.
That would go back, however, to my point where I think when a game is at launch, that is what it should be judged by.
Right. Yeah. I think it was probably a 2K thing, if I had to be honest.
I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, BioShock has, to me, it's the skeleton of an amazing game. So next game on my list is Halo 3.
Oh, good choice.
This is number 5, by the way.
Solid choice.
Yeah, I originally put down Halo 2 because I personally like Halo 2 more. But then I started thinking about it, and I have so much more nostalgic thoughts of Halo 3 than I do 2, because Halo 2, I was still really young when I got that. That was on the original Xbox. I got the original Xbox when I was in 4th grade. When I was in 6th grade, I think, is when this came out.
Yeah. And
so I remembered playing with friends and going to my first ever LAN party with Halo 2, but in Halo 3 is really where I understood what's going on. Dave, you told that story in Gears of War where this was your first experience playing online. I did that with Halo 2, and the reason why Halo 3 sticks in my memory more is because that was that's like my planet side. I was in high school at the time, and I had gotten with a group of guys that were really into Halo playing online. So much so that like we created our own little group. We started playing all the time online. Whenever we also went into Forge and made our own maps so that we could create these sort of practice runs, so we could time out how fast the BR spread is and get everything perfect down. We would go to such detail to practice before we went into a game, and we would just get on it. The highest rank I ever got was 43 in team doubles. I wasn't really amazing, but
that's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, the highest is 50, so there is a pretty big gap between 43 and the bottom. But Halo 3 for me, I just have so many really good memories of like me and my friends getting together. We wanted to go to like MLG Anaheim, so we paid attention to MLG at that time, and that's when I got into Championship Gaming League and whatever. So that was my introduction to esports. It had we had a friend schism in our little group because of a problem we had in Halo 3. Like that's how much it affected us.
Wow.
Yeah. So, which was so dumb. It's so stupid that happened, and I'm mad that it did. But Yeah, Halo 3, just tons of good memories. When I go in and play Master Chief Collection today, I jump into Halo 2 and I have different memories than I do when I jump into Halo 3. And I think Halo 3 just holds a very close place in my heart. And when I play it, like I get near tears when I'm jumping into a match that's with some good guys. So
I'll say I share that kind of sentiment that Dave talked about with Halo 2. 'Cause Halo 2 was the first time where I was jumping online with people that I was, going to high school with. We were playing Halo 2 like all the fucking time and like meeting people and had a clan and did clan battles and shit. And yeah, that Halo 2, man.
My biggest issue with Master Chief Collection is that when I go to Halo 2, I don't have the menu. And that's so dumb, but like I have so many fond memories of that
or whatever.
Yeah. Just like seeing like the 1, 2, 3 in the matchmaking.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that gets to me.
I mean, I have actually a lot of memories of Halo 3 as well. I mean, basically the thing that's really sticking out to me is me and my friend Andrew. We were both really, really good at team doubles. So we would play team doubles like crazy.
Dude, what is it with team doubles? Because I did that same shit.
I think it's because all you need is one good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just go in and like be best buds together.
Me and my friend even came up with like fucking things. We played this guy one time named Bojack, which I think is like a DBZ villain or something.
It's from a DBZ movie, yeah.
And we beat them so bad. We beat them like 50-2 that every time we killed them, we kept screaming, "You just got Bojacked." And like, I think we pissed them off. But after that, every time we played doubles and got like a really cool kill, we'd scream, "You just got Bojacked." It became our thing.
Oh man, that's my favorite thing about multiplayer games like that. You have those little stories where it's like, if I yelled that at my friend today, they would know it.
Our clan, our Destiny clan now, when we jump into Crucible, we have a thing where like if someone's popping a super and we kill them, like, and they don't kill us and we kill them during their super and they don't get to do anything with it, we have to yell, "Not today." It's like our thing. We're like, not today. Like, so yeah, man, I love little things.
I love me some. That's why I love Destiny, by the way, because it's just Halo essentially, just in a new mold.
Halo with superpowers.
Yeah, pretty much. Next game might be surprising. Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh my god, dude.
Which one?
To be specific, Extreme 2 or Supernova. I can't really pick between the two.
That's not surprising.
Extreme 2.
Yeah. Have I talked about my love for DDR on here before?
I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but I could nerd out about DDR.
Me too, absolutely.
Yeah, I love some DDR.
Love DDR.
Do you want to know what my first DDR was actually?
Which one?
It was DDR Ultra Mix for the Xbox.
Ultra. I had that one too. Yeah. It
was like a
because I didn't have the PS2, so I had to get that one, and it's sort of crappy.
Yeah, it kind of was, but I still like it.
But that's the thing. It's like anyway, DDR.
Yeah.
So this is not the same group that I got with Halo 3, but a different group of friends. Like probably if I had to pan out my life, who I had like the closest sort of reactions and relationships with people would probably be the group that I played DDR with. So I started playing Dance Dance Revolution when Extreme 1 came out on the PS2.
Yeah.
And so me and my friends, we would get together, we would pop it in, and we would play at his house. And he lived at his grandparents because his mom was just a bad mom, so he didn't live there.
Okay.
And so we're all over there. I can't even tell you today what the fuck was going on, really. I just knew that he lived with his grandparents. But so we're hanging out over there all the time. And to get even more personal, we started smoking weed in middle school.
Nice.
So we would go to another friend's house. His parents were separated, so his dad, he lived on the outskirts of town in this really nice house. We would go to his house and sleep like the whole weekend over there sometimes. And he had a little like clubhouse in the back. So we'd go smoke weed, go to his basement and start playing Dance Dance Revolution. And this is when like my first relationship ever happened too. So like somebody that my friend knew, I started dating her, and then we would go to the mall all the time. And so the mall had the arcade, and at the arcade, as you can expect, has Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah.
So we got into this groove where we would hang out.
We would
we would smoke weed. We would just go to the mall and we would play DDR obsessively. And it got to the point where like the weed and the hanging out sort of fell by the way. Let's go fucking play some DDR.
Wow.
So we're getting fucking way into it. Like me and my friend, I don't know if you've ever seen videos on YouTube But there's guys that like do dance routines, like actual whole things that are choreographed around DDR. So like they'll play the game, but then they'll like flip around and like do a thing on the bar.
Yeah,
they just do all this crazy shit.
They kind of parodied that in Video Game High School. I'm not sure if you saw it.
I wouldn't doubt it. So like we were trying to make one up. We never did, obviously, which is really complicated, and we were in middle school. But so we're playing DDR all the time, and so eventually I started to be like, you know what? There's this other machine here called In the Groove.
Ugh.
In the Groove is it's a better game, to be honest. The reason why I didn't put it on here is DDR has more personal attachment. But In the Groove, you can plug a USB plug into it, and it will read the song list on there and put it in the game for you. And so I would be playing that as well. In the Groove opened me up to an entirely more hardcore community of guys that did this. And so then all of a sudden, this is my first into like actually competitive, actually serious guys that play games. And then I'm checking out guys on YouTube that do this all the time. I'm trying to like figure out how to beat high scores and stuff like this. Zephyr, in my mind, I can still, which Zephyr, for those who don't know, is a song in DDR Supernova. It's done by Tash, who's one of my favorite music guys that does that sort of stuff. And so I can still remember the exact beats to the step to do that on heavy, because there's no Oni mode on that. But yeah, so DDR to me, out of any game that I have a lot of fondness for, that's probably one of the highest, just because the memories I had with my friend group, the community that I entered afterwards. And ever since then, I've been playing Step Mania on the PC for years, still play it today. And I just absolutely adore that game. That's the game that gave me my love for rhythm games. That's why I've played a Hatsune Miku game before. That's why I got into Rock Band when I did.
Yeah, Guitar Hero, Amplitude.
Yeah, Amplitude too. So DDR for me, that started my whole craze for that stuff, and I genuinely love that series. I wanted to come back really bad, but I don't know if it will.
I miss DDR, but I hate the cloth like pads. They suck.
Cloth pads are garbage.
Well, if you got you can get the nice ones from Red Octane.
Yeah. I had one where it was like a foam puzzle piece that I would put together, and it wouldn't move, and it was like solid, so it was much better than cloth. And then eventually, one of my friends got two metal like arcade like.
Yeah, those like $300 ones or whatever.
Yeah. So we played on those a lot, and but more so than that, I just played at the arcade, because you can't beat that experience.
Yeah,
and, it's actually I'm writing a book about the arcade experience, inspired by the stuff that I learned from DDR. It's not about DDR.
Yeah.
Last game on the list, because I know I've been doing this super long enough.
Ranting on for fucking ever, Kyle.
This is why I can't talk about games that I love.
Kidding.
Last game. This is the one that I was joking about before we started. Galactic Attack. It's a shoot 'em up on the Sega Saturn. It's my favorite game of all time. It is. I've
never even heard of this.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's also known as Layer Section, which is, I believe, the arcade edition in Japan, and it's also known as Ray Force. So Ray Force is the more known version of this, because the sequel is called Ray Storm, which you can get on PlayStation. Ray Storm you can get on Xbox Live Arcade and stuff like that. But Galactic Attack, so this is a really, really respected, well-remembered shoot 'em up from that time. It's I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it. So what you do is you're a spaceship, and you have the front plane in front of you, which you use like your normal gun to shoot at. And then there's also a layer beneath that, which you can shoot with a separate button after targeting it. So what it does is it creates this depth effect, where you're focusing not only on what's coming at you, but what's beneath you, because like there could, let's say, be a turret beneath you that's shooting shit. So you put your cursor over that, and then you can hit this secondary gun that you have. And the game, it's more so than just being a well-designed shoot 'em up. It is probably the game that I've played more than any in my life, other than like hardcore multiplayer games like Halo 3 and stuff. Because when I got my Sega Saturn, this was in 95. I was born in 93. And so I was 2 years old. We moved from our trailer into our actual home in 96. And so my brother and I, we sit down and we need something to do. So we play the Sega all the time. and Galactic Attacks was always our mainstay, and that's because it's 2-player to shoot 'em up, but it's also just, to me anyway, it holds so many memories of like my early childhood youth in this really great time period in my life. And when fucking no bills to pay, nothing to worry about, you're a kid. But more so, like even now, there's like the game opens with this song, and in the beginning of the song, there's like a voice track in it, and it's like, take a left turn over Roger, and it's barely like you can barely understand it because it's on the Sega's crappy music chip. I can say that shit to my brother right now in a text, and he'll know what the hell I'm talking about. Like I can beat the first boss in like 2 seconds just because I know that game so well.
Wow.
The best analog I can say Galactic Attack is for me is like how Colin Moriarty and Kind of Funny Mega Man all the fucking time. Like that's Galactic Attack for me, and more so how DDR has spawned my love for music games. Galactic Attack spawned my interest for shoot 'em ups, which got me interested in Treasure games, which Treasure clearly one of the masters in the genre. I've played so many, and I would like to say that like I know a little bit of shit about those games. And Galactic Attack still reigns the top of the list for me, not just for nostalgic reasons, because it's such a amazingly well-made shoot 'em up, and of course connotates with my love for the Sega Saturn. So that is it. That's done. That's my 7.
It's a hell of a list.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. Well, I'm not going to do any runner-ups because Christ almighty.
How long have we been going?
For a while.
We're way past 2 hours at this point.
Yeah.
Great.
This is a long... We should have... There's going to be a disclaimer. Strap on, everybody, because
This is a long one. Yeah.
it'll be a big one. That sounded wrong. Anyway,
Oh, now.
so I'm going to go through from the bottom up, just like Kyle did. And my number 7 game is going to be Donkey Kong Country on the SNES. I know there's Nintendo fans out there that say that game's trash. It's not good. Well, how's it feel to be wrong? Okay. How does it feel? Because I fucking adore Donkey Kong Country, and I think a lot of it has to do with my nostalgia and stuff. Growing up, I didn't have Nintendo consoles. The GameCube was my first ever Nintendo console. My grandma had like an NES for some reason, so I would play it over there. But
That's pretty awesome.
I don't know. I think one of my cousins or someone left it there, and she just had it. And I remember going through like one of her like drawers or something, like under the she did daycare, and my parents would drop me off when I was really little, like 7 or whatever, and I would spend the summers there. And I would like, I was just looking down there for some reason. I found this NES. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, oh, you have this? And she was like, yeah, somebody left it here. Like, you can play it if you want or whatever. And man, I spent that summer just playing freaking Legend of Zelda and Mario and Duck Hunt. And so she had the Zapper dope. And everything. Wow. Yeah, it was a good summer. So I don't really have NES consoles, but I met my best friend, who is still my best friend today. We discovered the other day that next year we'll have been friends for 20 years, and that is fucking weird.
That's insane.
Wow.
He always had Nintendo consoles, and I had a Sega, and then I had like a PS1 and stuff. So I would go to his house, and we would play like Mario World and stuff. And for some reason, we always got super attached to Donkey Kong Country and played it all the time. Still love playing it to this day, and I love playing it with him. We've even gone so far as talking about eventually getting Donkey Kong tattoos, because getting like the actual barrel like somewhere on our body, like the DK barrel, because in the game you take turns playing, so if like one of you dies, you take over where the other one took over, and to get them back, you have to find one of the DK barrels and like open it. So our thinking was like, if we both get DK barrels, it's like, like I always have your back, like I'll always be there for you.
I love that idea so much.
Yeah. So we haven't gotten them yet, and I really want to get them. But yeah, so Donkey Kong Country, huge like just connection to like my best friend in the world, who still my best friend to this day, like almost 20 years later. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out Jeremy.
That's not his name, but okay.
I guess.
I would have been like, how do you know that? How do you know? Number 6 on the list will surprise no one. Warcraft 3.
Oh, no shit.
This is my surprise.
Warcraft 3 came out when I was 13, I think. Yeah, 2003.
You're
and
old.
I growing up, like Warcraft 2 is one of the earliest games I ever remember playing. I was fucking obsessed with Warcraft and StarCraft and stuff. And when Warcraft 3 was coming out, that was like a big fucking deal to me. Like I was so excited for it and playing. I remember just like I played that game probably throughout junior high, high school, because it was like when it came out when I was in like 8th grade, and I played it a lot in junior high and high school, like online multiplayer. I stayed up Friday nights. I had like my TV was like above my computer, so I would have like fucking Adult Swim and like Toonami on. I'd be playing Warcraft 3 online, rocking Night Elves and Demon Hunters and stuff. So, yeah, and on top of just the multiplayer being super good and then spawning amazing games like Dota and other things like that, I absolutely love the Warcraft 3 campaign. I think it's one of the best strategy campaigns still to this day. I mean, we got characters like super iconic characters that people still love and adore to this day, like Arthas and Thrall and Illidan, and I love that game. So good.
Who could forget those people? Sorry, Josh.
A lot of people know who they are. So I really am pining for like an HD remake of this game at some point. I hope so.
One can dream.
One can dream. My 5th one also will surprise no one. StarCraft 1.
Not surprised.
Fucking love it. I've gushed over this game before on this show, so you can just go back and find me gushing about this game. So I really hope that HD remake is good, because I think StarCraft is just such a cool world. The factions are super cool. The characters are super cool. The plots and Brood War, and it has one of the most popular multiplayer modes in any game ever. It is just a fantastic all-around like masterpiece, and I absolutely adore that game. Number 4, Miss Pac-Man, which will probably surprise a lot of people, but I fucking love Pac-Man. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I just really love Pac-Man, and part of it is while I love Pac-Man in general, I think Miss Pac-Man is objectively a superior game to the original Pac-Man, and I've also put a lot more time into Miss Pac-Man just because I know it's like a better game. When I have a house at some point, I am 100% for sure going to get my hands on a Miss Pac-Man machine at some point, just so I can have it, because I really love that game. I actually have a memory, like a fond memory, two fond memories of Miss Pac-Man. So the first one was going to the Boardwalk, which is like this beach place in Santa Cruz. It's just literally called the Boardwalk. You know, it's so original, but everyone in the Bay Area knows the song. It's like, at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, where the verb California sun, Boardwalk. And I'm sure someone is like, oh shit, the Boardwalk song. Somebody out there knows.
Somebody
out there knows. Like, it's like people who I grew up with in my area all knew the Kids Castle jingle. Kids Castle was like this Chuck E. Cheese knockoff that like literally lasted 5 years, but everyone knows the goddamn song. So like,
it's good
I was
marketing.
at the Boardwalk with my cousin and put a quarter in Miss Pac-Man and ended up beating the high score at the Boardwalk. Like, I was playing it for like 15 minutes. It was some fluke. I don't know how it happened, but I was just going nuts on this game and just fucking destroyed whatever high score there was.
Nice.
And looking back, it's probably not even like the best high score ever. It probably got deleted that night when they just turned everything off, but I don't know. It felt good. And then I had another funny experience. So when Tron Legacy was coming out, I don't know if you guys know this, I fucking love Tron. So I was so hyped for this movie, and I love this movie. I don't have Blu-ray. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Tron is dope. And like at Disneyland, they were doing this thing called Electronica when the movie was coming out. So we made a point to go to Disneyland at this point, because we all, like, my friends all love Tron, and like we go to California Adventure, and they'd actually constructed a Flynn's arcade in California Adventure. It had all these old arcade games in there, and you had to actually like exchange money for tokens, and the tokens said like Flynn's Arcade on them. We ended up keeping a couple of them because they look really cool. And there was a Miss Pac-Man machine in there, and I was waiting in line to play, and I'm talking to this guy in front of me. We're just talking about, whatever, and how cool like the Flynn's Arcade and everything is and stuff. It looked exactly like it did in the movie. It was so awesome. But I'm watching this guy play, and he beats the high score on the Flynn's arcade machine, and I'm like, oh, congrats, man! Like, you beat the high score or whatever. He's like, yeah, totally. And then I go up and I like beat his high score, and I see his face kind of droop. I was like, oh, I feel bad.
What have you done?
Like, what have I done? Yeah, Miss Pac-Man. It's just such a great, solid game that's lasted all these years, and to think it was like a mod of the original Pac-Man, like an unlicensed mod. So good. It's excellent. My number 3 is Uncharted 1, which people are probably gonna be like, the worst one? I'm like, nah, bro, the best one. No, I'm just kidding. I have reasons for this. While I'll admit that I think like Uncharted as a storytelling game and as like gameplay got way better as it went, I have this soft spot in my heart for the first game. I like Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark in my mind is like a perfect film. I know it's not, but I just like to call it a perfect film. It's like, just I could watch that movie every day forever. And like in college, I literally said this out loud and was sad that no one thought it was funny. But it was like, what do you want to be? Like, what, like when after you graduate? And I said Indiana Jones. And nobody thought that was funny, just because I've told people, like, I'll be my game journalist is my second choice. My real choice is treasure hunter. Like, that's the thing I would rather be, you know? Uncharted 1, I got a job at Target for like a winter, and I got a PS3 finally, and I bought Uncharted. I'd always wanted to play it, and I played Uncharted 1, and I just loved everything about it. I loved the characters. The only thing I hated was the 6-axis, but I loved everything about it. I loved Sully and Elena and their whole adventure, and like the ending is just, I had a huge smile on my face. Like when the ending played and they're like sailing off into the sunset, I just remember out loud being like, this is why I fucking play video games. Like, this was so much fun. And I just really love that game. And I know people like poo-poo on it. They're like, oh, it's not as good. And I'm like, you know what, though? It's a hell of a ride. It is so much fun.
I totally feel you. I fucking feel you.
It's just such a fun game. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, that's, you know, I feel like Uncharted and like some other games are just so up their ass. And I'm not saying Uncharted is like, I think Uncharted kind of became The Last of Us near the end of it. But yeah, I just, man, yeah, I liked 4 a lot, but I'm just saying, like, it definitely changed. I did finish it. I mentioned it on last week's show that I'd finished it.
Okay.
Yeah, liked it. I think it was too long, but I liked it. Yeah, Uncharted 1, love that game. My number 2 choice, which is a game that I will never shut up about until the end of time. It's a game that was sent to die so long ago, and I have wanted some kind of sequel or update, and it's so hard to get your hands on these days, and I don't even own a copy of it, which just makes me sad. I feel like I kind of owe it to myself to get this game at some point, because I've beaten it probably 20 fucking times. Eternal Darkness. One of the greatest goddamn games ever fucking made, with one of the craziest, most mind-blowing secret endings probably ever.
Your sister's a car.
Your sister is a car, and you've been lied to this whole time. So, like, Eternal Darkness, if you've never heard me talk about why this game is so awesome, it is basically a modern-day H.P. Lovecraft storyline where you play as a bunch of characters, but your main like framing device is that you're playing as this woman named Alex, and her grandfather was like obsessed with this book called The Tome of Eternal Darkness. And the tome basically has all these stories throughout history of people coming into contact with the book. That's supposed to be like the Necronomicon in H.P. Lovecraft lore. Basically, it's the book that everyone comes into contact with and stuff. So you come into contact, and all the pages of the book are scattered around this mansion, like his mansion, and he basically is murdered, like he's decapitated, and you don't know how or why or how it happened. So like you're kind of investigating it, but it's also like there's ghosts and shit, and you're finding the pages of the story, and every time you find a page, it's like, oh, we're gonna go back to this story where this is the Aztecs, and you were this woman who was going to be sacrificed to the gods, and now you're wandering through this ancient temple. You come across like this ancient god named Mantarok or whatever, and then it's like, oh, now you're playing as this Roman centurion, and he comes into contact with the ancients, gets corrupted, becomes like this basically mage like for them, and starts doing their bidding for eons. And it's like, oh, now you're gonna play as this dude who built the guy who literally built the fucking mansion you're in. It's like your great 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 grandfather, and it's in like the 1700s, and people think he's going crazy, but he's like, there's monsters here, I'm telling you. Like and it's like after every page you learn like spells, and you unlock more parts of the mansion, and eventually you like confront the thing. And the crux of the game was that in the very beginning of the game, you make a choice, and it's basically like picking a color. It doesn't change much about the game, except for the ancient gods that are at play, basically. But if you actually beat the game 3 times, picking each color, like a different color on each save on the same memory card, after you beat it 3 times, you actually unlock a final ending that has all this like multiverse shit in it. And it is, and at first you're like, all right, but it's the last goddamn line in that video, which I never spoil because I think it's so fucking mind blowing, and it just like changes your entire interpretation of the game. It's just fucking, I could talk about Eternal Darkness for fucking hours because it is so underrated. Nobody's played it. Like I come across people who've never even fucking heard of it because it was made by Silicon Knights. It was supposed to be an N64 game, and then I think it got ported to the GameCube, and it was basically sent to the GameCube. It was a Nintendo exclusive, had no marketing budget. Like nobody fucking talked about it. People in the gaming press talked about it because they kept talking about how great it was. Like it has some of the best writing for a game that came out during that period, and
for sure,
fantastic game. And I gotta get a copy of that, man. Fucking Mantarok and Ulyaoth and Zelotov and all those people. So good. And my top, all the tops, yeah. My top favorite game of all time is Diablo 1. This is a game, and it's not Diablo 2. I love Diablo 2.
Diablo, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah. So Diablo 1, something about this game. A lot of it is nostalgia because I played it when I was like 7 or 8. And I've played it probably to completion every year since then. There's just something really awesome and different about this game. It's set in a kind of like semi-realistic, westernized gothic fantasy world where the crux of the game is that a meteor falls from the sky, and in this meteor there's like some stone that comes out of it has magical properties. It's powerful, and there's a whole backstory that you can unlock by like talking to people. I guess the crux of this is that these ancient mages called the Herodrum, who basically like try to contain demons and stuff, because they're trying to protect humanity.
Yeah.
Trap the soul of the demon lord of terror, Diablo, in this stone, and they're trying to keep it hidden. And I guess the crux of the game is you come to this town, and all the people are like all the people are leaving. They're like, the church north of town's been corrupted. It's full of demons. Like there's this guy called the Butcher. Like we tried to get a posse to go in there to kill him, and they all fucking died. And like there's one dude that came back, and now he's a drunk, and he's just like at the edge of town. If you talk to him long enough, he has like weird PTSD flashbacks and starts weeping about how fucking horrible it was down there and stuff. And
fucking
like
Eris Morn, shut up. Get over it,
Eric's
God.
mom. We call her Eric's mom.
Eric's mom.
Yeah, and then we sing Eric's mom has got it going on. But
whoa,
basically,
those bleeding eyes, real hot.
Yeah, Diablo 1, you go down further and further into the thing, and you've eventually, like you get better gear and stuff. And it's got cool RPG mechanics. It had really cool co-op modes in it, and just a really interesting and cool world, and a dark world, and like the ending always stuck with me because I didn't actually earn the ending until way later in my life when I got actually good at video games, because Diablo was a pretty hard game by yourself. It was kind of meant to be played with other people. It's pretty goddamn difficult if you play it by yourself. And I remember my dad like played it online all the time, and one of the big things was like you could kill your like people you were playing with, and then you could keep their ears as like trophies, and it would say so and so's ear. And like that was like a thing that you could keep. So if somebody like was a dick to you, you could like fucking stab them and kill them and then take their ear. It'd be like, yeah, I killed that motherfucker.
Give me that ear.
So it's kind of weird, but it was cool. But I remember actually like he'd beat the game a couple times. Like he was way better at video games than me. But I remember he showed me the ending, and it's been like fucking almost 25 years. Who gives a shit? The ending of Diablo 1 is like the king's son has been kidnapped. You find out he's been kidnapped by the high priest, and the high priest has basically embedded the stone in the kid's head, and the kid has basically become like Diablo. So like a vessel for Diablo. So when you kill Diablo, you like cut his head open, and the crystal's in there, and you pull it out, and Diablo turns back into the kid. And then like the character looks at the crystal for a second, and then all of a sudden it like flies into his forehead, and you see the main character screaming as the crystal embeds itself into his head, and it just pulls out and like ends. And so the idea is like, oh shit, like there's another Diablo, like it just never ends, like it's a cycle. Fucking that stuck with me for so long. And then Diablo 2, you find out the hero from Diablo 1 is the Dark Wanderer and all that stuff. But goddamn, I love that game. That's another one I really wish would get an HD remake, because I think it's fucking excellent. There's been some grade A mods released, like Beelzebub, which have basically put the game into an HD aspect ratio and like added a bunch of side quests and fixed a bunch of drop rates and bugs and stuff, and done just a lot of cool stuff. The servers for Diablo 1 are still online. You can actually still go play that game online. There's probably like 10 people still playing it, but you can do it. Yeah, that is definitely hands down my favorite game of all time. It's just always stuck with me, and I just love the aesthetic, and I love the concept of like going deeper and deeper, until you eventually get to like hell and stuff. And it's just, what a cool game. I love it so much. But anyway, this was a long ass topic.
Holy crap.
People to talk about games,
but it will net a lot of video content, so that's cool. Anyway, this has been the Geek Tank. Remember, you can find us on iTunes, on YouTube, on Stitcher, and all kinds of other podcast services. We have more kind of YouTube content coming up, so you should find us on YouTube. Subscribe. We have got plans. We've got
has them.
You can find a lot more info at thegeektank.com. It's a little like strange right now because I'm in the middle of redoing the site and making it cool and pretty for our new plans.
Yeah, Josh, you probably take a look at the about section, because it just says this is an example of an about section.
Yeah, I know. I know this. I'm still working on it. So again, people, be wary when you go there. It's not totally done yet. So
it's not finished.
It's not finished. God damn it. Yeah. And I think that is it. I think that's it for the show. So we're going to see you guys later. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.